Chapter 1535. The Treasure Master is dead? Xiao Chen crushed the Treasure Master, who was severely injured and then attacked by 17 immortal magic treasures at the same time. Even after advancing to martial emperor and possessing the body of an emperor, the head was still one of the vitals of a cultivator. With the Treasure Master's head crushed, it would be hard for him to come back to life. A large amount of black life essence flew out of the Treasure Master's body. This seemed to prove this point. Is the Treasure Master really dead? When many people saw this scene, they all revealed expressions of disbelief. Such a strong person, who had shaken the world for more than 10,000 years, died just like that. Did he really die just like that? Was it too easy? Or was Xiao Chen too strong? Many demon cultivators were stunned. With the Treasure Master dead, who could block the strong Xiao Chen? In the Sky Dome, many of the primes fighting each other also revealed angry and doubtful expressions, their expressions grave. Is he dead? Emperor Forsaken muttered to himself in the Divine Kingdom, not daring to believe it. After a while, the Treasure Master's corpse still showed no reaction, continuing to give off a large amount of dense black life essence. Only now did the many Emperor Wu and primes show joy on their faces. The Treasure Master was truly dead. Ha! The Dark Church's Church Master is already dead. Are the two of you still going to persist? Emperor Forsaken laughed loudly. The expressions of the Earth Demon Monarch and the Shadow Demon Monarch, who were fighting him, changed wildly, becoming incredibly complicated. The Church Master is dead? Let's go. We will retreat according to the plan. The two demon monarchs exchanged glances and quickly retreated. The Dark Church's Church Master is already dead. The news of the Dark Church's Church Master's death quickly spread throughout the battlefield. When the Kunlun Realm cultivators heard this, they all became spirited. On the other hand, the Demonic World cultivators and demonic beasts retreated in a fluster, leaving behind corpses. Originally, with the 17 immortal statues and Xiao Chen's casual slaughter, the number of Demonic World cultivators and demonic beasts had decreased significantly. In terms of numbers, although the Demonic World cultivators still outnumbered the Kunlun Realm cultivators, they no longer held that overwhelming advantage. Before the united Kunlun Realm cultivators, they no longer felt any pressure. Furthermore, when news of the Dark Church's Church Master's death spread, the Kunlun Realm cultivators immediately suppressed them. This was the first time the Kunlun Realm cultivators held the upper hand since the start of the war. If they did not attack now, when would they? No one was timid or weak. The morale of the Kunlun Realm's side soared. In the back, Xiao Chen looked at the Treasure Master's corpse with a cold and emotionless expression. Xiao Chen sent out another palm strike. The palm wind was like a mountain, crushing the Treasure Master's corpse into mush. His body was a mess of flesh and blood. He could not be any more dead. Xiao Chen did not believe that such a body could be resurrected. He looked around and began to search for the Nether Sect's two vice-sect masters, Xing Wang and Fa Wang. Their strength far surpassed that of the demon monarchs, second only to the Thunder King. They had to be eliminated. While Xiao Chen still had the strength to fight, his injuries worsened, and it would be very difficult for him to suppress the two of them. The battle between him and the Thunder King earlier was extremely horrifying, and every single move was a gamble of life. Although he had the Blue Dragon War body and his vitality was vigorous, far surpassing that of the Thunder King. However, the accumulation of injuries was not something that could be easily healed. Hey, why can't I find the two of them? Xiao Chen exclaimed softly. He was shocked to discover that, aside from some demon monarchs being chased, he did not see the two. Could there be some other scheme, the demonic god? Xiao Chen's expression changed slightly. Suddenly he remembered the Thunder King's dying words. When the demonic god descended, all efforts would be for naught. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Xiao Chen's figure flashed, and he quickly arrived beside the Kunlun Palace's palace master. Senior, do you see Xing Wang and Fa Wang? The Kunlun Palace's palace master was injured, severely so. This was especially so for his face, which had been burned by the demonic flame. There was also a wound at his waist, bleeding from which a large chunk had been cut off. This was really difficult for the Kunlun Palace Master. He had to fight against 2 primes second only to the Thunder King alone. They fled. When the Thunder King headed to the rear, the two started fleeing. Xing Wang plotted against me and could not give chase. Xiao Chen quickly asked, which direction did they flee in? The oceanic world. It's over. Xiao Chen's face sank. The Thunder King must have sent word to the two that the demonic god blood sacrifice was about to be completed and rushed back to the altar. The Kunlun Palace's palace master did not understand. Right now, the situation was very good. The demons were being forced into retreat and would soon be chased out of the profound domain. Why did Xiao Chen say this? Could there be more to this? Just as the Kunlun Palace's palace master was about to ask, a dense black demonic chi suddenly appeared in the distant oceanic world, connecting to the sky and the ground. Even from millions of kilometers away, one could still see it clearly. This was because the black demonic chi pillar flickered with a black light, looking very resplendent and bright. Whoosh! Before the Kunlun realm cultivators could react, a black cloud spread out from the sky above the Treasure Master Island in just 4 or 5 breaths. Just as the many Kunlun realm cultivators watched in bewilderment, this black cloud covered the entire Kunlun realm. The sun could not be seen, and the entire world turned dark. Heavens! What is that? Horror spread in the hearts of the Kunlun realm cultivators. There was a terrifying energy in the black cloud, inspiring fear in the depths of their hearts. The people of the Kunlun realm, who were originally chasing the demon cultivators, retreated in a fluster, feeling bewildered. The 7 primes gathered together and looked at the sky with grave expressions. The entire world turned dark, there was no sun. Light and shadow turned blurry as this black cloud covered everything. Do you feel it? The heavenly Tao is isolated, Ing Zongtian said softly, his body trembling slightly. The senses of primes were much sharper than those of ordinary cultivators. Without exception, all of them felt a strange feeling. They could not explain what it was, but they could clearly sense that something was missing in this world. Emperor Forsaken nodded and said, "It is completely isolated. The heavenly Tao no longer exists." Could it be? The cyclic astral lord thought of a possibility, and his expression changed drastically. Whoosh, whoosh. As the demonic cloud churned, it suddenly formed a gigantic face looking down on all life. Millions of demon cultivators and demonic beasts knelt on the ground at the same time. They performed the same gesture, knelt, prayed, and chanted in a low voice. A demonic god. It's a demonic god. Everyone thought of such an existence. They retreated quickly again, revealing incomparable horror on their faces. Could it be that the heavens really wanted to destroy the Kunlun realm? After so many twists and turns, countless outstanding talents dyed the sky red with their blood. However, they still could not bring peace to the world. Damn it. And Juanxi, who was riddled with wounds, teared up. He really wanted to shout, "Why?" As the gigantic demonic god face looked down, everyone felt fear spread in their hearts. The brilliant demonic might was like an overwhelming flood, pressing down on everyone until they found it hard to breathe. Shui Lingling felt incredibly fatigued as she landed on Kunlun Mountain. She held the Emperor Yi shooting sun bow in her hand, her complexion pale. Not far away, despair flashed in by Wushue's eyes, along with a heavy dissatisfaction. Before the demonic god fully appeared, it already shattered most people's fighting spirit, making them feel an undefeatable despair. Drip, drip. Suddenly, black demonic rain fell from the sky. This rain fell on the demonic world cultivators. It was like a miraculous elixir. The injured demonic world cultivators instantly regained their vigor, recovering to their peak. Roar! Several demonic beasts roared ferociously. Their suppressed ferocious auras reappeared. Ha! The demonic god is descending. The Kunlun realm will definitely be destroyed. The demonic world cultivators were incredibly excited, all of them entering a frenzy. Xiao Chen looked around and suddenly discovered that the life essence that the Thunder King scattered in the air earlier quickly gathered and flew towards the black clouds in the sky. Oh no! He wants to use the demonic god to revive. A murderous intent flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes, and his aura surged ferociously. However, it was too late. The scattered life essence rose very quickly. In a short while, it all entered the black clouds. When all the life essence entered, the overwhelming demonic clouds churned quickly. A huge figure suddenly formed and landed on the ground. Boundless demonic might surged out from this figure, forming strong winds that blew over this battlefield for 5,000 kilometers around. Damn it! Damn it! Xiao Chen, I have already merged with the demonic god. You are the one who forced me onto this path. I will definitely wash the Kunlun realm in blood and make you suffer 100 times, 1,000 times the pain. An extremely unpleasant voice came from the mouth of the huge figure. Its expression changed many times. It was like countless people's faces were squeezed under that skin, looking exceptionally scary. The Thunder King came back to life. However, he became a monster that was neither human nor ghost. This was probably not what he truly wanted. Chapter 1536. What was a demonic god? Even the people of the demonic world did not know. They would only stammer that it was the god they believed in. However, in reality, there was no such thing as a demonic god in this world. It was just that there were many people who believed in it. Countless years of accumulation of the power of faith gave birth to such an existence. It did not have intelligence. It could even be said that it did not have life. It was controlled by the person who created it. The demonic god possessed strong energy, the accumulation of the power of faith over countless years, the energy of souls from all sorts of blood sacrifices, and all sorts of evil secret techniques infused it with negative emotions. Rather than calling it a god, it was more like a monster. The demonic world was different from the deity race. The deity race directly absorbed the power of faith and infused it into themselves. These people were not gods but still humans. Humans would die. When they died, the power of faith would scatter. As for the demonic god, it was born from the power of faith. It was undying and indestructible, continuously accumulating the power of faith. There was also the horrifying blood sacrifices of the Dark Church, which provided the blood and souls of experts, making the demonic god even more terrifying. At this moment, the treasure master used the demonic god to revive. It looked like he still had his own consciousness. In reality, the true treasure master was already dead. Right now, the Thunder King was a monster that was neither human nor ghost. Kill! The appearance of the demonic god plunged the demonic world cultivators and the demonic beasts into a frenzy. Their eyes turned scarlet as they sank into some kind of crazed state. They looked much more spirited, their strength returning to its peak. In reality, it was just the demonic god using a secret technique to activate their life potential, exhausting their life essence. Facing the counterattack of this group of madmen, the Kunlun realm cultivators fell into an extremely difficult situation. Xiao Chen watched as the demon race cultivators that he had severely injured earlier suddenly appeared alive and well. Anyone who faced such a situation would feel like dying. This was too torturous. However, the Kunlun realm cultivators could not retreat, as there was already no way out. Even if it looked like a dead end, they had to use their last bit of strength to stake it all on this. Retreat to Kunlun Mountain. At this moment, it was clearly not the right time to charge into battle with the demons. They could only use Kunlun Mountain's terrain and formations as their final defense. When facing the horrifying demonic god, the various clans no longer dared to hide their resources. Emperor Forsaken stood on top of the divine kingdom and quickly formed hand seals. He wanted to summon the sealed old ancestor of the god race. That was an ancient divine sovereign of the god race. He had lived for many years, and because of the accumulation of time, his strength had already surpassed ordinary supreme beings. Unfortunately, he was restricted by the heavenly Tao and remained in a sealed state, not daring to appear in this world. A crack opened in the pitch-black space. A beam of divine light shone in the dark world. But very quickly, he was drowned in the endless darkness. Emperor Forsaken's expression turned slightly ugly. The demonic might of the demon god was simply too strong. Even the divine light of the god race patriarch was unable to illuminate this dark world. The heaven-punishing corpse god roared, and 8 corpse race elders appeared, carrying a black wooden coffin. The wooden coffin was heavily sealed and bound with chains. Each of the chains burned with green corpse flames. A martial god medallion appeared in Ing Zongtian's hand. Then he closed his eyes and muttered to himself, preparing to summon out the clone that the founder of the Bushan Palace left in the seal. The heavenly Tao is really isolated. Emperor Forsaken showed a grave expression. Every time he summoned the deity race patriarch, the heavenly Tao would attack him. This time, it did not. However, Emperor Forsaken could not smile at all. How strong was a demonic god that could isolate the heavenly Tao? The cyclic astral lord smiled bitterly and said, "Things have already reached this point. I'll just do my best." The myriad law fiend master's aged face looked at the demonic god that the Thunder King possessed. He muttered, "Why bother? He is neither human nor ghost. What exactly is he seeking?" The myriad law fiend master was on good terms with the Thunder King. Seeing the other party end up like this, he felt a chill in his heart. The demonic god had appeared, and the heavenly Tao was isolated. The Kunlun realm was in grave danger. It might collapse in the next second. However, at this moment, the 7 utmost beings were a lot less nervous and a lot calmer. Why was this so? It was because they were already prepared to die. They were primes, the peak existences of the Kunlun realm. After contributing all the strength they could, that would be enough. Suddenly, a saber light lit up in the boundless darkness. That saber light looked somewhat weak in the darkness. However, it was like a flickering star in the night sky. It was not very bright, but it existed eternally. It's Xiaoqin. The Blue Dragon King is making a move. The crowd was very excited. In the dark night, even the weakest candlelight would attract everyone's attention. At the crucial moment, the demonic god descended. As the strongest person of the Kunlun realm, the Blue Dragon King stood out without hesitation once more. "Ha! Good timing. I don't have to look for you everywhere." The demonic god was 3 kilometers tall. Its face changed many times before finally turning into the Thunder King's face. Then, it revealed a sinister smile as it looked at Xiaoqin. As Xiaoqin flew over, he did not have a saber in his hand. However, he cultivated the flawless saber Tao. His body was the sharpest treasure saber in the world. From the start to the end, his body gave off a weak saber light, resisting the might and pressure of the demonic god. Xiaoqin's expression remained calm. He ferociously flapped the blue dragon divine wings and punched at the demonic god's head. "Ignorant." The demonic god smiled coldly and spat out a black flame at Xiaoqin. The blue dragon divine wings flapped gently, and Xiaoqin brushed by the flame. Bang! The demonic god had just stopped when he punched. This punch distorted space, not something that could be judged with common sense. Suddenly, the demonic god arrived above Xiaoqin's head. The mountain-like fist light contained a demonic might that could destroy the world. "Cauldron!" Xiaoqin shouted, and 10,000 dragon force gathered into a cauldron. It stabilized the space, solidifying the distorted space. Then, Xiaoqin executed the myriad heaven divine fist. Bang! The attack knocked Xiaoqin into the air, and a large mouthful of blood leaked out of a corner of his lips. Do you feel the difference in strength? This is the power of faith that the Dark Church has accumulated for tens of thousands of years. Ha! The Thunder King, who had possessed the demonic god, laughed maniacally as he sent punches at Xiaoqin. Every time the Thunder King punched, space distorted. The fist lights appeared and disappeared mysteriously, appearing boundlessly tyrannical. How terrifying! Xiaoqin was startled. However, after a while, he slowly lost consciousness. Xiaoqin watched as the demonic god approached, leading the allied demon race's armies to charge up Kunlun Mountain. If even Xiaoqin could not block the demonic god, it would be a disaster for ordinary cultivators. Xiaoqin shouted and burned his magic energy, executing the major magic skill, Dermic World. His figure trembled slightly, and his body quickly enlarged, clashing with the approaching demonic god. Bang! With a punch, Shao Chen finally blocked the demonic god's fist light. Then, he stood at the foot of Kunlun Mountain, blocking the other party's advance. I only have 7 seconds. I have to do my best to push the demonic god further away. Bang! Loud rumbles resounded in the world. However, the demonic god did not take a step back before Shao Chen, who had executed Dermic World. Instead, the demonic god launched a torrential barrage of attacks at Shao Chen's Dermic World. In just one breath, the huge Dermic World was already riddled with injuries. Can you hold on? Let's see how long you can last. The Thunder King, who had possessed the demonic god, felt extremely delighted. Shao Chen used his fist as a saber, his body as a saber, and his Dermic World as a saber. Shao Chen clenched his teeth and gave it his all. However, he still could not truly injure the demonic god. All he could do was defend the foot of Kunlun Mountain with much difficulty. Boom! The demonic god punched again, and Shao Chen's huge Dermic World body fell to one knee. Shao Chen! The cultivators who had retreated to Kunlun Mountain felt heartbroken when they saw this, feeling immense pain. The kneeling Dermic World was like a guardian of the mountain, stubborn and proud, not retreating. When the final punch landed, the Dermic World body went flying. Shao Chen reverted to his original form. Blood dyed the sky, and half the bones in his body shattered. Shao Chen, this is all you are capable of? The demonic god laughed maniacally. Save him. However, of the 7 primes, Emperor Forsaken, Ingzongten, the heaven-punishing corpse god, and the Fox King were all anxiously summoning the treasures of their respective races. They could not free themselves at all. The Myriad Law Fiend Master, the Bright Moon Empress, and the Cyclic Astral Lord charged over without hesitation. The 3 had only one thought. No matter what, they had to save Shao Chen. Stop them. I want to torture Shao Chen to death. I want him to suffer 100 times, 1,000 times the pain I've suffered. The demon gods roared furiously, and the demon sovereign supremes came out in full force, blocking the 3 supremes. What should we do? We've been blocked. Shao Chen will die. The Myriad Law Fiend Master said with a grave expression as he looked at the 8 demon monarchs blocking his way. I have a secret method I can rush over. Help me hold them back, I can save him. A brilliant light flashed in the Cyclic Astral Lord's eyes. After hesitating for a while, he finally made up his mind. But you have to face the demon god alone. There's no other choice. A resolute expression appeared on Xing Zhu's handsome face, and his body suddenly turned into a ray of starlight and disappeared into the night. When Shao Chen reappeared, the boundless starlight in the sky condensed into the appearance of the Cyclic Astral Lord. He caught the falling Shao Chen and dodged the demonic god's gigantic hand. A mantis trying to stop a chariot. I'll kill you, an ant, first. Shao Chen vomited a mouthful of blood. He was somewhat surprised that the Cyclic Astral Lord would be the one to save him without hesitation. Last night's stars, last night's wind. Starlight is like the wind, sending you off. The Cyclic Astral Lord chanted. Boundless starlight shone through the dense demonic clouds in the sky, turning into a gentle, 9-colored astral wind. Carrying Shao Chen, the Cyclic Astral Lord flew to the top of Kunlun Mountain at an incredible speed. He left Shao Chen alone to face the demonic god that the Thunder King possessed. Chapter 1537. Shao Chen was greatly startled. However, he was severely injured and could not move at all. Unexpectedly, the Cyclic Astral Lord, who had always been very ambitious and sanctimonious, would make a sacrifice for him at this crucial moment. Live on properly. As long as you are alive, there is hope for the Kunlun realm. A voice appeared in Shao Chen's mind. It was the Cyclic Astral Lord's voice. Don't die either. I even promised to bring you out of the Kunlun realm. Leave the Kunlun realm? Sometimes, people are really laughable. I keep thinking about how to leave the Kunlun realm. However, I always find out what I really want in the end. The Cyclic Astral Lord revealed a bitter smile. The deaths of Chu Yang and Fu Hongyao dealt a huge blow to him. It also allowed him to see many things clearly. Even his 2 disciples had such a strong sense of belonging to the Kunlun realm. His own time in the Kunlun realm was even longer. However, he kept thinking about how to leave the Kunlun realm. Could it be that he was not even comparable to his two disciples? Damn it! How dare you spoil my plans? Cyclic Astral Lord, you must be tired of living. The demonic god raged and its face quickly changed. Countless faces squeezed under that human skin. Joy, anger, grief, joy, and all sorts of other expressions changed continuously, looking incredibly scary. The cyclic astral lord recovered his wits and looked at the other party. He said softly, "You are really pitiful. Is there any point in living like this? I can squash you to death like squashing an ant. What qualifications do you have to say that about me?" The demonic god raged and ferociously opened its huge palm. It was like the sky encasing the cyclic astral lord. The vast demonic might pressed down, making it difficult for people to speak. The cyclic astral lord did not feel any fear. He only quietly closed his eyes and said softly, "The sun and moon are constant. The stars move, the great thousand realms, limitless star burst." The cyclic astral lord formed hand seals. When he finished, starlight lit up every acupoint in his body. His 200-odd acupoints looked like they hid stars, making him crystalline and transparent. His hair gave off faint starlight as it fluttered in the wind. The cyclic astral lord seemed to turn into a painting. As the painting slowly unfurled, it revealed a magnificent, resplendent, and boundless star chart. In the dark space, this scene deeply shocked everyone. This is the Star Palace's forbidden technique, limitless starburst. No, when the disciples of the Star Palace saw this scene, they all went crazy. This was a forbidden art passed down in the Star Palace. Once it was used, death was certain. The Myriad Law Fiend Master and the Bright Moon Empress, who were fighting the Demon Monarch, were stunned. Unexpectedly, the Astral Lord was so decisive. "Old friend, why do you have to do this?" Boom! Before everyone's eyes, the cyclic astral lord's crystalline body exploded with a loud boom. Boom! The demonic god's massive palm exploded on the spot, and the star explosion radiated out. Half of the demonic god's massive body was blasted away. Miserable wails came from the gigantic demonic body, echoing in all directions. Like the howls of wolves in the night, these cries of pain overlapped, tormenting everyone's ears. Dead, Xiaochen watched this scene somewhat dispiritedly. Another person died. For the sake of saving him, the cyclic astral lord chose to self-destruct. The resplendent light was always short-lived, passing in an instant. The demonic clouds encased the world, returning it to darkness. In the darkness, the demon god wailed in pain. But what made people despair was that, however, the most despairing thing was that the destroyed half of the demonic god's body quickly grew back. The demonic god glared. When it saw that Xiaochen was already far away, it flew into a rage. "Go to hell!" The demonic god soared into the air and threw a palm strike at Xiaochen. Rumble! The instant the demonic god got up, the entire Kunlun mountain started trembling. The peaks of the entire Kunlun mountain began to tremble, and countless rocks began to fall. Oh no! Just at this crucial moment, a loud dragon roar came from the Blue Dragon Palace at the back of Kunlun Mountain. A dragon claw extended from there. The dragon claw expanded as the wind blew, sending the demonic god flying. Then, it turned into a beam of light and swept Xiaochen back into the Blue Dragon Palace. The demonic god that the Thunder King possessed flew back 1 kilometer before stopping. When it saw the retracted dragon claw, it revealed a cold smile. They really dared to come out. Are they not afraid of death? When the dragon claw returned to the Blue Dragon Palace, the palace quickly soared into the air as if it feared something. It quickly flew away, vanishing from everyone's sight. Seeing that the Blue Dragon Palace rescued Xiaochen, the primes released their bated breath. Emperor Forsaken roared, and the deity race ancestor opened his eyes and walked out of a spatial tear. The chains in the corpse race coffin exploded, and a 10,000-year-old corpse king burning with green flames slowly emerged. The martial god medallion in Ing Zongtian's hand stopped spinning, and a figure came out of it. The three existences that surpassed primes roared ferociously and charged at the demonic god that was sent flying. Let's go as well. The bright moon empress and the others will not be able to hold out much longer. Emperor Forsaken led the charge, fighting the demonic world primes together with the bright moon empress and the others. In reality, the Blue Dragon Palace was only halfway through its flight when countless bolts of black lightning struck it, causing it to fall with a loud boom. When the Blue Dragon Palace landed, it wobbled. However, it did not fall over. Big Brother Dragon, are you all right? Inside the palace, the old dragon horse was charred black and covered in wounds. It fell weakly to the ground. After a long time, it said, "I'm fine. Do not go out. The heavenly Tao only isolates us to a certain extent. If people of our level go out, we will die a miserable death. Furthermore, we will bring disaster back to the Blue Dragon Palace. What should we do now? Young Master is unconscious, and he is severely injured." The girl in her prime asked somewhat anxiously as she carried Xiao Chen. "Bring him to the blood pool to treat his injuries. This is the Kunlun realm's own calamity. He has to rely on himself. We have already done everything we can to help him." After the old dragon horse finished speaking, it stood up and, together with the others, placed Xiao Chen back into the spiritual liquid pool made from the essence blood of 100 kinds of ancient ferocious beasts. I already saw it clearly. That demonic god's refinement method is a secret technique of the Black Lotus Church. The Dark Church follows the orders of the Black Lotus Church, the old dragon horse said with a grave expression as it looked at Xiao Chen in the spiritual pool. The girl's expression changed slightly. I recall that the Black Lotus Church is an evil sect that split from the Buddhist sects in the previous epoch. They are very strong but do not have deep accumulations. How could such a small sect like them have such vast resources to occupy the resources of an abandoned land? Let's not care so much for now. Let's wait for Xiao Chen to wake up first. 4 hours later, Xiao Chen slowly woke up in the blood pool. By relying on the strong and surging medicinal energy of the ancient ferocious beast's blood, Xiao Chen's injuries had mostly recovered. He no longer had any major problems. "Senior, save the Kunlun realm." Xiao Chen immediately cried out in joy when he opened his eyes and saw the old dragon horse and the others. "You are all experts that I cannot see through at all. You must have a way to save the Kunlun realm, right?" Xiao Chen asked anxiously. The girl, azure-clad man, and the others shook their heads. They only sighed silently and did not answer. "Xiao Chen, if we could save them, we would have made a move during the incident with the Qing Emperor 10,000 years ago. I once told you that it is very difficult to leave the abandoned land. It is even more difficult to enter. After entering, there are even more restrictions. This is also why the faction behind the Dark Church can only use the natives of the Kunlun realm to develop its faction. Do you understand what I mean? Simply put, if someone from the outside world enters, even if they are as strong as you, they will be rejected by the heavenly Tao. However, you are different. You were born and raised in the Kunlun realm. More or less, you have adapted to this place. People like us, who are much stronger than you, simply can't get out." The old dragon horse sighed and replied to Xiao Chen, "I already took a huge risk to save you. It is not that I cannot, it is that I cannot." When Xiao Chen heard that, he expected this answer. If it could help, the old dragon horse would have left long ago. Now, the only way to save the Kunlun realm lies with you. The old dragon horse looked at Xiao Chen, and its expression suddenly turned grave. Xiao Chen felt a glimmer of hope again. He asked eagerly, "What method? Tell me." "The blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritance. Although you cannot inherit the blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritance now, as long as you can touch him, you will be able to obtain the blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritance. As long as we awaken the blood-soaked dragon emperor's remnant soul and obtain some pointers, defeating the demonic god will not be a problem." The old dragon horse said seriously, "The blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritance." Xiao Chen thought, why did I not think of this? However, the scarlet dragon seal above the veritable essence energy lake was incredibly firm. It did not look like it could be touched at all. It was not that Xiao Chen had not tried it before. That seal was too strong, far from what he could touch now. "I got it," The Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. As long as I break through to the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 9th layer, the horrifying energy from the tribulation should be able to touch the Scarlet Dragon Seal. After the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation reached the 7th layer, every breakthrough was a test of life and death. The lightning tribulation would multiply. If one was not careful, one would die. It would not be an exaggeration to say that it was a narrow escape. However, the impact of the lightning tribulation was something that Xiaochen could not do. He definitely could touch the Scarlet Dragon Seal. Xiaochen originally planned to wait until he left the abandoned land and became stronger before making a breakthrough. However, he could not care so much now. He needed to risk his life. With this thought, Xiaochen immediately flew out of the blood pool and headed out of the Blue Dragon Palace. The old dragon horse and the others quickly asked, "What are you doing? Don't be rash. Don't worry about me. I'm looking for a quiet place to make a breakthrough. Only then can I touch the dragon seal." Xiaochen showed a determined expression. He did not want to worry the seniors, so he did not say anything more and quickly walked out of the Blue Dragon Palace. Chapter 1538. It was clearly daytime, but the outside world was dark. Xiaochen walked out of the Blue Dragon Palace. This place was far from the profound domain battlefield. However, it should not be the Tianwu domain, as Xiaochen had never been here before. Xiaochen looked at the sky. Demonic clouds covered the sky, making it dark. Relying on his sharp senses, Xiaochen looked in the direction of Kunlun Mountain. Sound could no longer transmit the battle there. Xiaochen only vaguely sensed some auras, which still made his heart tremble. A battle that would decide the life and death of the Kunlun realm was taking place there. If no miracle happened, the Kunlun realm's defeat was only a matter of time. The demonic god was practically immortal. Even after half of its body was destroyed, it could still recover perfectly. The ordinary cultivators of Kunlun Mountain also faced the demon race cultivators who had overdrawn on their life force. A peak battlefield versus an ordinary battlefield. No matter which side won, they would immediately feed back to their allies, quickly ending this bitter battle. Since Xiaochen arrived in this world, he had never experienced such a miserable scene. Even the bloodshed that he experienced on the Emperor's Road could not compare to 1,000th of this battle. Friends who were alive and well in one moment might die in the next. The scene of life and death was playing out at every moment. It was destined that there would be no winner in this battle. The demons were just pitiful bugs that the Dark Church kidnapped. From the moment they offered their souls to the demonic god, they were destined not to betray him. The Thunder King's transformation into something that was neither human nor ghost was clearly not what he wanted. After 10,000 years of scheming, in the end, he was still the loser. Pitiful, lamentable, and even more hateful. Far away from the battlefield, Xiaochen's anxious heart calmed down for a rare moment. In that instant, he thought of many things. The death of the cyclic astral lord was a great shock to Xiaochen. The man who once used the oath stone to threaten him was dead. The person died, and the person who made the oath died. Naturally, the restrictions were no longer there. However, Xiaochen did not feel relaxed at all. As he looked at Kunlun Mountain in the distance, many scenes flashed in Xiaochen's mind. Many people had placed their lives on the line to bet on him. This time, he could only succeed. Failure was not allowed. With a light tap of his feet, Xiaochen soared into the sky and scanned the surroundings, searching for a suitable location. A moment later, he landed on a mountain and sat down cross-legged. It was not easy for the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation to break through to the 9th layer. That was already the limit of strength allowed by the heavenly Tao of this world. After the 7th layer, every breakthrough brought Xiaochen an experience that was engraved in his bones. When he recalled it, other than the pain, there was only one word that came to mind. Sky Dome Immortal Lord, don't laugh at me if I die from the cultivation technique you created. Before starting, Xiaochen teased himself to relax. Then, the smile on his face disappeared and was replaced by a serious expression. He took a deep breath and closed his eyes. Just like eating and drinking, the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation circulated naturally in his body. He had practiced this cultivation technique day and night. He was already extremely familiar with it. Even when he was unconscious, his body would automatically move. He was simply too familiar with it. Xiao Chen drove his veritable essence energy and circulated it in his meridians. The lightning-attributed spiritual energy in the surroundings quickly gathered in Xiao Chen's body. After one great cycle, Xiao Chen's surroundings started flickering with crackling electric light. Logically speaking, he should have stopped at this point. That was already sufficient. However, it was clearly not possible to break through now. Xiao Chen calmed himself and opened up new meridians. With every increase in the purple thunder divine incantations layer, more meridians would flow. The so-called breakthrough was opening up new meridians, lengthening the time it took to complete a great cycle. When cultivating, one would absorb more energy, and their speed would be faster. This was originally a rather difficult process. However, Xiao Chen had 2 years of accumulations, so it was not difficult. What was rare was that after opening the various meridians required for the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation's 10th layer, a lightning tribulation would descend. Only by truly enduring it could one be considered to have broken through to the 9th layer. Otherwise, it would all be for naught. The more dangerous part was using the lightning tribulation to activate the Scarlet Dragon Seal. Time ticked by. When Xiao Chen opened the final meridian, tribulation clouds appeared above his head. Boom! A bolt of purple lightning tore through the sky and landed on Xiao Chen's body. It's starting! Xiao Chen opened his eyes and silently endured the lightning tribulation. Following that, bolts of lightning descended continuously. As the lightning ravaged his physical body, Xiao Chen guided the lightning tribulation's energy to charge at the Scarlet Dragon Seal in his dantian. The Scarlet Dragon Seal was half the size of a palm, but it was like a vast and boundless sea. The lightning tribulation's energy was like a drop of dew. When it charged over, it did not cause any waves. Xiao Chen was not in a rush. Based on his experience, the lightning tribulation would slowly grow stronger. This matter could not be rushed. Using the lightning tribulation's energy was an extremely risky thing to do. In the past, Xiao Chen did his best to block the lightning tribulation's energy from his physical body. This time, he did his best to absorb it into his body. If he was not careful, the lightning tribulation's energy might go out of control and explode in his body. Without any surprises, Xiao Chen would be blasted into smithereens on the spot, not even leaving a scrap behind. Boom! After about 7 minutes, a divine dragon palace materialized by lightning descended. A huge pressure immediately crushed the mountain Xiao Chen sat on. Rumble! Before the lightning arrived, the mountain crumbled. Xiao Chen tensed up. As the lightning descended, countless sparks flew on the surface of his body. His body, which was already numb from the pain, felt like it would fall apart. With a strong will, Xiao Chen endured and guided the lightning tribulation's energy to circulate in his meridians. Rumble! The lightning tribulation's energy was like an unbridled wild horse, quickly galloping around. Xiao Chen found it extremely taxing to control it. Bang! This time, the Scarlet Dragon Seal, which had not reacted all this time, finally shook for a moment. It only shook for a moment, not even for a second. If Xiao Chen had not been watching closely, he would have thought that he saw wrong. However, Xiao Chen did not notice that the instant the Scarlet Dragon Seal shook, countless scarlet molecules separated from the Dragon Seal and merged into his blood vessels, healing and recovering his physical body. It separated from the dragon mark and melted into his blood vessels, healing and recovering his physical body. Xiao Chen laughed loudly and reared his head back, shouting, "Darn heavens!" Again. 10,000 bolts of lightning flashed and gathered together, turning into a ferocious venomous lightning snake that bit at Xiao Chen. Before the first wave passed, another wave came. Xiao Chen was like a small boat in the waves, drifting about in this berserk lightning tribulation. 10,000 bolts of lightning flashed and gathered, turning into a ferocious venomous lightning snake that bit at Xiao Chen. The Scarlet Dragon Seal shook for an increasingly longer period of time. All the signs indicated that the Scarlet Dragon Seal could truly be touched. All of a sudden, the storm of thunder and lightning stopped. The entire place turned quiet. Is the lightning tribulation over? No, it is brewing an even more ferocious lightning tribulation, the final lightning tribulation. Suddenly, a sword tip emerged from the clouds. The sound of 10,000 horses galloping resounded in the clouds. The lightning tribulation turned into a ferocious weapon. This startled Xiaoqun. This was his first time seeing tribulation lightning materialize into a weapon. It made him feel like he had committed a sin and was placed on the execution platform by the heavenly Tao. Oh no, even if I can endure this lightning tribulation, I cannot draw it into my body. Sharpness. Other than the berserk power, the lightning tribulation this time also had a sharp edge to it. Whoosh! The lightning ferocious weapon arrived in an instant, so fast that Xiaoqun could not react in time. The sword blade pierced through Xiaoqun's head without a drop of blood. I'm fine? However, in the next second, Xiaoqun's expression changed drastically. This lightning tribulation was targeting his physical body. It completely ignored his defenses, wanting to explode in his body. The lightning ferocious weapon that entered Xiaoqun's body shrank as it descended. When the electric light shone out, Xiaoqun's entire body turned transparent. His internal organs, flesh and bones were all clearly visible. This was gathering the power of lightning, continuously compressing the tribulation lightning's energy. At the end of the compression, Xiaoqun would explode, instantly vaporizing. In reality, this time, it was not the right time to make this breakthrough. If not for the Scarlet Dragon seal slowly strengthening Xiaoqun's bloodline in secret, Xiaoqun's physical body would not have been able to last until now. With Xiaoqun's physical body, he would not be able to last until now. The Purple Thunder Divine incantation only had 12 layers. The danger of the final 3 layers far surpassed his expectations. Xiaoqun watched helplessly as that lightning ferocious weapon slowly compressed and condensed in his body. The lightning ferocious weapon turned into a small. Its light was already as resplendent and dazzling as the sun. However, there was no earth-shaking explosion. Without a sound, the last bolt of tribulation lightning exploded just like that. Before Xiaoqun could think, his flesh, and bones vaporized on the spot. Only a coiled blue dragon image remained, surrounding the Scarlet Dragon seal. Whoosh! It seemed like something in the Scarlet Dragon seal woke up. The blue dragon image opened its eyes. That was a pair of cold scarlet eyes, lonely and proud. It looked like it was outside the world, looking down on everything under the heavens. Interesting. To think that this barren land managed to find a successor who matches my temper. The secrets on you are extraordinary. You shall be the one. Chapter 1539. Dragon Race Secret Technique, Blood Rebirth. A low chant came from the Scarlet Dragon seal. Then, strands of blood mist started to appear in the air. The hazy blood mist slowly condensed into drops of blood. Then, all the drops of blood suddenly retracted. 1 second ago, Xiaoqun had disappeared. Now, he was perfectly fine. Then he miraculously reappeared. Am I dead? Xiaoqun asked in a daze as he opened his eyes in a mysterious space. This world was dark. Countless stars dotted the sky, but no starlight shone down. Dead? If I had woken up a second later, you might really have died. Saving you was not easy. Forcefully using blood rebirth before reaching the required cultivation is not that easy. Of course, I am an exception. Suddenly, a voice rang out in the space, startling Xiaoqun awake. Who am I? Haven't you always wanted to see me? What's wrong? Are you frightened after seeing me? The voice came from behind. Xiaoqun quickly turned around and saw a white-clad person with a sinister smile. His lips curled into an evil smile, and a faint blood-red light flickered in his eyes. This person's aura was very strange. His expression was sinister, and he smiled evilly. However, after seeing those eyes, no one would think that he was smiling. The eyes were cold, emotionless, lonely, and proud. There was also a boundless killing chi that seemed capable of melting people. You are the blood-soaked dragon emperor? Xiaoqun asked quickly when he reacted. In that case, he did not die and was saved. The white-clad person did not answer Xiaoqun. Suddenly, he raised his head, and the killing chi hidden in his eyes shot out. The white-clad person reached out and grabbed. Then, he revealed an extremely cold expression as he firmly grasped a clump of black fog in his hand. The black mist twisted and distorted, letting out a series of painful and unpleasant sounds. As Xiaochen looked at that black fog, he felt fear for some reason, raising his guard involuntarily. Boom! The white-clad person grabbed, and the black fog shrieked miserably. Then, it turned into a clump of blood mist and vanished. What is this? Xiaochen asked, feeling bewildered. Your inner demon. But don't worry, I've already killed it. Don't be so strange. I cultivate the Tao of massacre and have been dealing with heart demons my entire life. I have killed so many heart demons that even I can't count them. Actually, the heart demon is a good thing. For you, if you can get through it peacefully, your mental state will be strengthened imperceptibly. Unfortunately, you've come to see me in such a decisive manner. Naturally, I can't let the inner demons waste any more time. The white-robed man casually explained, as if he had just done something insignificant. However, Xiaochen was shocked. He had never heard of heart demons being killed. Why are you in such a rush to see me? Suddenly, the blood-soaked dragon emperor said sullenly, as my blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritor, how can you be so lacking in ambition? This is an impossible task for ordinary people. However, as my blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritor, if you cannot even clear this stage, then I can only say that I am blind. What do you mean? Xiaochen asked, feeling confused. Nothing much. I'll teach you a Soul Dao martial technique. Even if you do not know it, you have to learn it for me. Otherwise, if the demonic god cannot kill you, I will personally kill you. To think that you want me to personally make a move for you over such a small matter. I really feel ashamed on your behalf for having such thoughts. The blood-soaked dragon emperor looked at Xiaochen with disdain and a cold smile. Xiaochen's expression changed slightly as he demanded angrily, small matter? I will allow you to look down on me and humiliate me. However, don't joke around with the lives of my Kunlun realm compatriots. Let me tell you, this is not a small matter. This is not a small matter. Seeing Xiaochen's disrespect, the blood-soaked dragon emperor did not get angry. Instead, he laughed. You have a temper. However, if you want to be my blood-soaked dragon emperor's inheritor, just having a temper is not enough. I'll pass this Soul Dao martial technique to you. As long as you can learn it a little, you will be able to kill the demonic god. If you cannot learn it, I will kill you and find another inheritor. Also, don't neglect the basics. My blue dragon bloodline is one of the great desolate 100 races. The strongest thing is the power of our bloodline. However, you are foolish enough to not use it. Right after the blood-soaked dragon emperor spoke, he pointed at Xiaochen. Boundless information entered Xiaochen's mind. Let's go. Don't disturb me for no reason. This remnant soul of mine cannot exist for long. If you wake me up and do not learn anything, it will be a waste. With a wave of the blood-soaked dragon emperor's hand, Xiaochen returned to reality. Xiaochen opened his eyes. Under the dim light, the surrounding terrain was cracked and in a sorry state. The terrain had changed completely. The tall mountains were gone, and the plains were gone. Cracks filled the ground, and sand and rocks flew everywhere. When Xiaochen regained control of his physical body, he immediately felt that his physical body was stronger than before. In his bloodline, there was a power that wanted to roar. Everything seemed to be very different. Vital chi gather. Xiaochen clenched his fist, and all his vital chi surged. Strands of dragon-shaped energy flew around in the air. As Xiaochen clenched his fist, 2 ancient dragon cauldrons hovered above his head. 2 cauldron force. Xiaochen felt shocked. His vital chi actually doubled. What's going on? Could this be the power of the bloodline that the blood-soaked dragon emperor mentioned? Xiaochen entered deep thought. Thinking back, he vaguely recalled that his blood seemed to have changed when he underwent his tribulation. Every time the power of the lightning tribulation, it would strengthen his physical body, undergoing some kind of tempering, polishing his blue dragon war body. Aside from his vital chi doubling, The magic energy origin in his sea of consciousness also doubled in size. Shao Chun rejoiced in his heart. This was the most obvious benefit of the Purple Thunder Divine Incantation advancing to the 10th layer. With the expansion of his magic energy origin, he would be able to execute magic skills more easily. His dermic world would also last longer. However, these were not the important points now. The important point was the Soul Dao martial technique that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor left in his mind when he chased him out. Soul Breaking Finger. Chapter 1540. Soul Breaking Finger. This was a Soul Dao martial technique that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor had obtained long ago. One had to reach the veritable personage realm at the very least before one could cultivate it. But now, he had thrown it to Shao Chen and wanted him to learn it immediately. This was a bit too much. After all, Shao Chen was only at the first minor stage of the perfected being realm, the veritable essence realm. After that, there was still the Yin essence realm and the Yang essence realm. This was equivalent to Shao Chen crossing 2 cultivation realms to learn a martial technique. Shao Chen carefully thought back to the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor's words. After calming down and thinking about it, he realized that while the other party's words seemed unreasonable, they were actually not that heartless. If he really didn't think highly of him, he wouldn't have given the soul-breaking finger to Shao Chen, nor would he have saved him. In reality, there was no other way. If they could not break the rules, they could forget about saving the Kunlun realm. Familiarizing himself with the mental cultivation method of the soul-breaking finger, Shao Chen did not rush to try it out. Soul Dao martial techniques exhausted a cultivator's soul energy. If one failed, one's soul would be injured. This was especially so for someone like him who forcefully cultivated. If he was not careful, the damage would be even greater. In the worst-case scenario, he might even turn into a fool or have his soul dissipated. In the message that the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor gave Shao Chen, he said that he could only suffer 3 failures at most. If Zhang Xian failed the 3rd time, his soul origin would be damaged, and it would be difficult for him to recover from it. First step, mobilize your soul force. Shao Chen slowly circulated his mental cultivation method. As his mental cultivation method deepened, he realized that his consciousness was drifting away from his physical body. The taboo energy in his body was being controlled by him. Winds blew and clouds surged. A powerful aura burst forth from his body. This aura was several times stronger than his Dao might. A strong wind howled, and clothes flapped noisily. At this moment, anyone in the Kunlun realm who stood before Shao Chen would feel fear in the depths of their soul. Second step, condense soul power. The condensation of soul power was the most crucial step. Without condensation, soul power would not have any power, and it would be impossible to release it. Hoochie hoochie. As the soul energy gathered, invisible storms appeared in the sky and gathered in the clouds. Bolts of lightning were torn apart, emitting a soul-shaking sound. Poochie. Before he even had time to reveal a trace of happiness, Shao Chen spat out a mouthful of blood, his soul power scattering from his hand like water. In the sky, all the strange phenomena disappeared, and the terrifying aura disappeared. After summarizing his failure, Shao Chen rested for a while and began his second attempt. This time, the soul power was successfully condensed, but at the 3rd step, the release of soul power, something went wrong. As a result, Shao Chen felt as if his soul had fallen apart. His entire body felt weak, and his mind was exhausted to the extreme. Again! After resting, Shao Chen immediately failed for the 3rd time. This time, he could only succeed. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor, who was in the scarlet dragon seal in his body, did not sleep. Instead, he stared at Shao Chen intently. What a terrifying talent for the Tao of the soul. Just 2 attempts and he has already reached this level. His soul power is also shockingly powerful, much stronger than mine in the past. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor muttered to himself, perhaps it has something to do with his secrets. As Shao Chen thought, he formally began his 3rd attempt. The first step, circulating soul power, was successfully completed. The second step, condensing soul power, was successfully completed. The 3rd step, releasing soul power, was successfully completed. There was still one final step, just one drop of dragon blood. The dragon race was one of the strongest races of the Great Desolate Aeon. After millions of years, the dragon blood was like a mythical bloodline. Although there were no pure-blooded dragons, Shao Chen's blue dragon bloodline was a peerless 8-colored dragon bloodline of extremely high quality. One drop of peerless blue dragon blood was sufficient to increase the might of the soul-breaking finger tenfold. Without the dragon blood, the might of the soul-breaking finger would be very ordinary. After Shao Chen successfully released his soul power to his fingertip, his chest tore open, and a drop of heart blood immediately melted. The tip of Shao Chen's right index finger released a scarlet light. The entire world turned scarlet under this light. What was even more strange was that when the scarlet light radiated, clear lines could be seen even in the insides of rocks and grass. Am I going to succeed? The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor felt excited in his heart. However, his expression suddenly changed. That's not right. The dragon blood and soul energy have not completely merged. Boom! A scarlet beam of light with dragon patterns on it shot out from Shao Chen's fingertip. However, this beam of light suddenly disintegrated halfway, vanishing into nothing. This time, Shao Chen was not injured. However, disappointment filled his face. How can it be like this? I clearly already succeeded. Why did it still disintegrate? This won't do. I have to try again. Whoosh! Space suddenly twisted, and Shao Chen was pulled into the Scarlet Dragon Seal space. Then he saw the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor again. Stop trying. You already failed, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor said expressionlessly. Shao Chen said, I have to try again. Otherwise, I will definitely succeed this time. What if you fail? You will die a miserable death. Are you sure you want to try? I'm sure. I can only gamble on this. The blood-soaked Dragon Emperor sighed silently in his heart. Shao Chen is really stubborn, just like me back then. Perhaps I can really revive the extinct blue dragon bloodline. Just like me back then, I can revive the entire declining dragon race by myself. Very well. Go ahead and try. I won't stop you. However, I really have to sleep for a while. You can wake me up after you surpass the veritable personage realm. Remember, make good use of the power of your bloodline. That is a huge asset. After the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor finished speaking, his figure slowly faded, vanishing from Shao Chen's sight. When Shao Chen returned to reality, he revealed a smile. This blood-soaked Dragon Emperor was truly an interesting person. While the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor criticized Shao Chen harshly, he did not mention anything about not wanting Shao Chen as an inheritor after he failed. The third failure should be because the dragon blood and soul energy have not completely merged. I have to think of a way. On the other side, the huge battle at Kunlun Mountain had already reached its final juncture. Under the leadership of the Fiend Celestial, the Fiend Celestial army carried out violent attacks on Kunlun Mountain again and again. It was possible that they would charge up Kunlun Mountain at any time. Once this final line of defense fell, what awaited the Kunlun realm cultivators would be a one-sided massacre. The demonic god fought the deity race ancestor, the 10,000-year-old demonic corpse, and the clone of the Bushin Palace's founder alone. The demonic god had an innate advantage of being undefeatable. No matter what kind of injuries it suffered, they would not be fatal to it. It would recover quickly. On the other hand, the Kunlun realm's 3 great trump cards, the clone of the Bushin Palace's founder, grew dimmer. The deity race ancestor was riddled with injuries, looking like he would collapse at any moment. Only the 10,000-year-old demonic corpse was in the best situation due to its physical body's advantage. Upon seeing the demonic god suppress the 3 great trump cards, Ying Zongtian and Emperor Forsaken, who were fighting the Earth Demon Monarch, the Shadow Demon Monarch, and the other demonic world primes, revealed helpless expressions. Bush. The clone of the Bushin Palace's founder suddenly started flickering, its figure growing increasingly fainter. Ying Zongtian's expression changed drastically. Oh no, time is almost up. As soon as the words left his mouth, the clone vanished without a trace. The fragile balance was instantly broken. The demonic god laughed loudly, You undying old man, you can truly die now. Bang! A scarlet light burst out. The deity race ancestor, who had been holding on for a long time, finally could no longer hold on. He got knocked into the air, splattering blood everywhere. As the injuries piled up, the deity race ancestor's life force weakened continuously. Strands of life essence scattered in the air. Ancestor! Emperor Forsaken cried out in despair. The deity race ancestor had protected the deity race generation after generation. Today, he died in his generation. Of the 3 great trump cards, only the 10,000-year-old demonic corpse remained, holding on bitterly. Kunlun Mountain would fall soon. However, Xiaoqun was still making one last attempt. Chapter 1541. First step, circulate soul energy. Second step, condense soul energy. Third step, fourth step, release soul energy, melt the dragon blood and merge the two. After thinking for a long time, this was Xiaoqun's 4th attempt. This time, he took the risk of carrying out the 3rd and 4th steps at the same time. This was the only way to completely merge the dragon blood and soul energy. As Xiaoqun's cultivation was insufficient, he could only forcefully cultivate it. Naturally, a cultivator of a higher cultivation realm would follow the normal order, which was safe and stable. However, Xiaoqun needed to use some unconventional methods. Otherwise, he would never succeed if he followed the normal order. The drop of dragon blood in Xiaoqun's heart melted, and the condensed soul energy entered his right index finger at the same time. His soul energy and dragon blood merged continuously during this process. A strong aura burst out from Xiaoqun's body. Success or failure depended on this. Dragon blood soul breaking finger. Xiaoqun roared, and a scarlet light lit up the space on his right index finger. The blood-red light beam shot out for a full 10,000 meters without dispersing. Success! Xiaoqun revealed a smile, rejoicing in his heart. He finally succeeded on his 4th attempt. By carrying out the 3rd and 4th steps at the same time, he had made the right gamble by taking the risk. When the scarlet light faded, fatigue washed over Xiaoqun, and he slowly calmed down. Perhaps this was not enough. After all, the blood-soaked dragon emperor had not seen the demonic god personally. Furthermore, what if this dragon blood soul-breaking finger could not completely kill the demonic god? He really couldn't afford to lose, Just this dragon blood soul-breaking finger is not enough. I have to think of other ways to raise the purple thunder divine incantation to the 10th layer. My thunder domain should not be much weaker than the Thunder King's. However, the Thunder King's thunder domain has already mutated. As Xiaoqun thought, an idea suddenly came to his mind. Although my ice domain is not as strong as the thunder domain, it is close. If I can merge the two, I will have another asset to deal with him. What kind of medium would the fusion of ice and lightning take? Naturally, the first thing that came to Xiaoqun's mind was the saber. He was the most familiar with the saber. However, he already grasped a complete Tao for saber intent, which was 1 level higher than a domain. Merging the 3 was somewhat difficult. Other than sabers, I'm most familiar with dragons. That's right, that's it. Xiaoqun's eyes flashed. He had the bloodline of the blue dragon and had seen all kinds of dragons. It was the perfect vessel. Opening his palm, streams of lightning energy emerged from his palm, crackling and flickering non-stop. Then, with a thought, the power of ice appeared in his palm at the same time, and the two continuously mixed together. Under Xiaoqun's gaze, it quickly took the shape of a dragon, becoming more and more exquisite. The blood-soaked dragon emperor said that my dragon blood is a huge treasure. However, I still do not know how to use it. But just now, the dragon blood soul-breaking finger had fused with the power of the dragon blood soul-breaking finger. Only then could it be called the true soul-breaking finger. Could the thunderbolt ice dragon be infused with a trace of dragon blood? Thinking of this, Xiaoqun took action. A drop of scarlet dragon blood seeped out of his palm, which was covered in ice and lightning. Like an extremely gluttonous child, the thunderbolt ice dragon instantly absorbed this drop of dragon blood and turned into a berserk tricolor dragon. the purple of lightning, the white of ice, and the red of blood. As the thunder domain and ice domain's energies drained, the berserk tricolor dragon in Xiao Chen's hand grew larger and longer. When Xiao Chen's energy of lightning and ice was completely drained, a 10-meter-long berserk tricolor dragon soared out of his palm. Its main body was purple lightning, and white ice covered its scales. Blood dotted its claws and horns. I succeeded. I will call you the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon, then. Xiao Chen clenched his fist, and the berserk tricolor dragon vanished. Heavy confidence flashed in his eyes. He had gained another killing move. Furthermore, with the strengthening of his physical body and vital qi, his strength had undergone a complete transformation. He was now 50% confident of dealing with the demonic god that the Thunder King possessed. Xiao Chen raised his head and looked at the demonic clouds in the sky. He muttered, "If I can break the demonic clouds and allow the isolated heavenly Tao to reappear, the demonic god's strength will decrease significantly. 50% will become 70%. With a thought, Xiao Chen arrived under the demonic clouds. After hesitating for a while, he entered. When Xiao Chen entered the demonic clouds, all sorts of negative emotions immediately surged over. This was an extremely terrifying mental attack. However, to the current Xiao Chen, this was not too much trouble. He just had to guard his heart. Xiao Chen flew higher and higher. After flying for 10 kilometers, he still had not emerged from the demonic clouds. This startled him greatly. No wonder it could isolate the heavenly Tao. The thickness of these demonic clouds was simply incredible. Blue dragon divine wings. A pair of dragon wings spread out on Xiao Chen's back, and he suddenly accelerated. Then he leaped out of the demonic clouds. Rumble. The long-awaited sunlight appeared. Before Xiao Chen could reminisce about it, bolts of lightning shot towards him. After Xiao Chen dodged, he quickly withdrew his aura. Right now, his strength was already on the verge of being killed by the heavenly Tao. More accurately, Xiao Chen had already broken through, hovering around the limit. However, Xiao Chen was a cultivator who grew up in the Kunlun realm. The heavenly Tao was more tolerant of him. As expected, there is a clear gap between us. Beneath the demonic clouds, I can be unbridled. But outside the demonic clouds, I have to be cautious. If I am not careful, I will touch the red line of the heavenly Tao. A calm expression appeared on Xiao Chen's face. However, compared to the demon god, he is still the one at a disadvantage. Without the demonic clouds, his strength will decrease by at least 2 to 3 times. As for me, it will only decrease by 20% at most. Xiao Chen still vividly remembered the sorry state he had been in when he fought with the demon god, even though he had used Dharma World. Even after using all sorts of means, he was still unable to receive Xiao Chen's attacks. Every punch was excruciatingly painful, and Xiao Chen's defeat was extremely miserable. After executing his heavenly eye, Xiao Chen could barely see through the clouds and see the blurry terrain of the Kunlun realm. After a quarter of an hour, he arrived above the mysterious domain and stopped. He looked at the demonic clouds thoughtfully. How could he break it and let the heavenly Tao penetrate it, disintegrating the demonic clouds of the entire Kunlun realm? As long as there was a hole in the 500-kilometer-long dike, the flood would immediately destroy it. However, the might of the heavenly Tao was much more ferocious than the flood. Once Xiao Chen had a chance, he would definitely disintegrate the demonic clouds above the Kunlun realm. To pierce through the 10-kilometer-thick demonic clouds, aside from having great might, one's penetrative power had to be strong. Otherwise, Xiao Chen would not be able to pierce through them. The demonic clouds would quickly close up, and the demon god would notice Xiao Chen's existence, not giving him another chance to attack. There was only one chance. His attack had to be ferocious, and its penetrative power had to be strong. Standing in the demonic clouds, Xiao Chen grabbed a clump of demonic clouds. Then, he opened his palm and looked at it carefully. The black demonic clouds in Xiao Chen's palm changed continuously. Unexpectedly, they turned into many evil spirits' heads. All of them had malevolent expressions, looking extremely horrifying. Xiao Chen's heart sank. Just a clump of demonic clouds already had so many evil spirits. For tens of thousands of years, How many innocent lives had the demonic god blood sacrifice killed? This method was simply too cruel. After calming down, Shao Qin analyzed the situation. The demonic clouds were mainly made up of all sorts of resentful spirits and demonic qi. It seemed like Shao Qian's strength attribute was not very useful against such existences. It would be great if he had an attribute like the state of holy light. I can only use brute force. With the support of the Tao might and the Saber Tao's great Tao energy and 2 cauldron force, that should be enough. After taking a deep breath, a Tao disc appeared behind Shao Qin. Then, it condensed into a point and continuously elongated. When it elongated to 3 centimeters, Shao Qin punched ferociously. 2 cauldron force gathered on his fist light. With the support of the Tao might, the berserk energy became incredibly dense. 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, 3 kilometers. The saber light that the fist light turned into continuously pierced through the demonic clouds. Shao Qin was very confident in his attack. Before the demonic clouds were completely pierced through, Shao Qin leaped out of the opening. Chapter 1542. Kunlun Mountain was the final trump card of the Kunlun realm, the 10,000-year-old demonic corpse. In the end, it still fell to the demonic god. No matter how strong the demonic corpse's physical body was, it would eventually run out of strength. Its injuries piled up. In the end, it would explode into a pool of black blood. As for the demonic god, he was innately undefeatable. No matter how badly his body was damaged, he would recover in an extremely short time. Furthermore, the demonic god was terrifyingly strong. With 1 punch, he could easily knock back a prime. No one could block the demonic god's repeated attacks. Just look at how strong Shao Qian was earlier. However, he did not last long against the demonic god. Not to mention Ying Zongtian, Emperor Forsaken, and the Fox King. It's over. Seeing the final 10,000-year-old demonic corpse explode into a pool of blood, all the Kunlun realm cultivators sighed in their hearts. Qigyan, there is no need for you to struggle. The Earth Demon Monarch and the other demonic world primes stopped their attacks. Their anxious hearts finally released their bated breath. After this, there was no need for them to make a move. The demonic god alone was sufficient to destroy 7 primes. Emperor Forsaken, Ying Zongtian, and the others remained silent. At this final moment, they did not feel fear or despair but pity. Pity that they could no longer see these great mountains and rivers. Pity that they would no longer have the chance to fight alongside their fellow Taoists. Ying Zongtian, I'm sorry. I have never apologized in my life. I believe that if I do not apologize now, there might not be another chance, Emperor Forsaken said indifferently. The heaven-abandoning deity sovereign said indifferently. His expression was somewhat sorrowful and somewhat helpless. He also felt some regret. If he had not been so utilitarian in the past, the entire Kunlun realm would not have lost so much of its high-end combat power when Shao Qian advanced to martial emperor. In this battle, there might have been a chance to protect the Kunlun realm. Although the demonic god was strong, if the demonic god killed all the other cultivators and demonic beasts of the demonic world, he alone would not be able to truly occupy the Kunlun realm. Ying Zongtian smiled and said, "All right, I forgive you. I have never forgiven anyone who has made a big mistake in my life. Before I die, I won't let you have this regret." The few remaining Kunlun Supremes stood side by side, prepared to withstand the last wave of attack from the demonic god. Shui Lingling was a little tired. Standing on the mystic bird, the primordial energy in her body was almost exhausted, and her spirit was even more fatigued. Is it about to end? And Juanshi leaned against a mountain rock. He truly had no strength to continue fighting. He needed to rest, and his injuries also needed to recover. Feng Xingxing, Xianyuan Zhantian, Mo Qin, and the other Dragon's Gate cultivators all showed helplessness and dissatisfaction in their eyes. At this moment, it was as though the entire Kunlun realm was sighing. Qigyan, you thought that you fought against me your entire life. However, from the very beginning, you've only been toyed with by me. Thousands of faces squeezed together under the demonic god's skin, changing continuously. Finally, they turned into the Thunder King's face. Qitian said coldly, "Thunder King, if you want to make a move, do it quickly. Look at your current appearance, you look neither human nor ghost. You probably won't be able to die even if you wanted to. A dead person is not qualified to mock me. Hu Qi." Just at this moment, an intense beam of light suddenly descended from the sky. In reality, it was not that the light was very intense. It was just that the demonic clouds had covered the world for too long, preventing people from seeing sunlight for too long. Hence, the light was so piercing and intense. These demonic clouds are 10 kilometers thick. Even I cannot pierce through them in one breath. Who did it? Ying Zongtian exclaimed in shock as he raised his head. That intense beam of light in the boundless darkness immediately attracted everyone's attention. The moment the light beam fell, a white figure slowly descended from the pillar of light. It's Big Brother Shao Chen. It's Shao Chen. It's the white-robed bladesman, Shao Chen. The Blue Dragon King is back. Those with good eyesight immediately saw the white-clad person's appearance and could not help exclaiming, "The heavenly Tao is back. I can feel it." Emperor Forsaken, who had already accepted death, suddenly became excited. The Thunder King revealed a horrified expression. How can this be? He was so severely injured. How did he recover in such a short time? The demonic god could no longer care about killing Emperor Forsaken. Its huge body shrank continuously. The demonic god did not release its demonic might, fearing that the heavenly Tao would kill it. Hence, it had no choice but to take the initiative to scatter its cultivation. The beam of light continued to expand. By the time Shao Chen landed, the entire profound domain had recovered. The demonic clouds were like heavy snow in winter, continuously melting under the radiance of the sun. The demonic clouds covering the entire Kunlun realm vanished at an extremely fast pace. Just like how justice would definitely prevail over evil, darkness would not cover the land forever. As long as someone dared to stand out and poke a hole, the light of the heavenly Tao would spread over the land. How painful! How piercing! My strength is gone. So tired, so sleepy. I don't have any strength left. What's going on? Why did I suddenly age so much? Why did my old injuries relapse? Countless demonic world cultivators and demonic beasts were horrified to discover that all sorts of terrifying problems had appeared around them. Several demons even started crying in despair. Earlier, they had been full of energy and strong bodies. Now, their hair had turned white, and their bodies were riddled with injuries. No one would be able to accept this. Draining one's life force to heal one's injuries and strengthen one's combat prowess, the side effects would arrive sooner or later. By poking a hole in the sky and weakening the demonic god's strength, Shao Chen had only brought this moment forward. Saber. Shao Chen stretched out his hand, and the scattered lunar shadow saber on the battlefield turned into a beam of light and returned to his hand. The absence of Ao Jiao in the saber stunned Shao Chen for a moment. However, he could sense that Ao Jiao was still alive, so Shao Chen let go of this worry. Holding the saber horizontally in his hand, Shao Chen sent out a saber light. A tyrannical aura that looked down on the world erupted from his body. The saber light swept out in all directions. All the demons and demonic beasts within 50 kilometers of Shao Chen were struck by the azure light. Dark Church's Churchmaster, do you dare to fight me again? The saber light on Shao Chen's saber flickered as he pointed it at the Dark Church's Churchmaster. A strong aura spread out from Shao Chen's body, giving the impression that he was a powerful saber sovereign, ruling the world, unrivaled in all directions. Defeated opponent, this time, the heavenly Tao is not isolated. Those old monsters of the Blue Dragon Palace will not dare to come and save you. I will make sure you die thoroughly. The Dark Church's Churchmaster returned to the height of a regular person. He held back his overwhelming demonic might. With a gentle leap, he arrived before Shao Chen, not showing any fear. At this moment, the thousands of demonic world cultivators and demonic beasts fell into chaos. The cultivators and demonic beasts that had already charged up the mountain all retreated in a fluster. The state of their bodies suddenly plummeted from their peak to rock bottom, accompanied by all sorts of pain. The side effects of overdrawing on their potential erupted. They were now even weaker than regular people, like lambs waiting to be slaughtered. The Kunlun realm's war banner rose up behind Shao Chen once more, fluttering loudly in the strong wind. The war banner did not fall. It was like a blazing fire, igniting the hot-bloodedness in everyone's hearts, turning it into a blazing flame. We cannot let them leave so easily. Rage burned in Injuanshi's eyes. His entire body was drained of energy. However, he gritted his teeth and stood up in the end, trembling. The many fatigued Kunlun realm cultivators gritted their teeth and stood up. They tightly gripped their weapons and charged out with their final breaths. Although they were injured and fatigued, they had not overdrawn on their potential. They did not have the side effects of the demons. Before the Kunlun realm cultivators, the demons did not have any combat prowess at all. They fled in panic, utterly defeated. Miserable cries rang out at every moment. Those were the miserable cries of the demons. Good and evil would be repaid. It was not that there was no retribution, it was just that the time had not come yet. After massacring so many people of the Kunlun realm, it was time for them to pay their debts. As Shao Chen listened to the miserable cries, his expression did not change at all. He looked at the demonic god coldly and said, "This is their retribution. Soon it will be your turn. Do you think that you can kill me by letting the might of the heavenly Tao descend again? Let me tell you, I will not die. As long as I am around, this war will not end." The Thunder King's eyes turned somewhat crazed. As he looked at Shao Chen, he hated him so much that his eyeballs nearly popped out of their sockets. He was just one step away from killing all the Kunlun realm primes and obtaining the Rock of Origin. However, Shao Chen's reappearance shattered this beautiful dream. The situation of the battlefield also reversed. "You little bastard, you are even more loathsome than the Qing Emperor. If not for the fact that I had no choice, why would I nurture a tiger and invite disaster? However, since you do not treasure it, I will not show mercy either." The demonic god leaped into the air and punched. Overwhelming demonic might erupted intensely on his fist light. That strong demonic might could knock back a prime with just demonic might. Show mercy? You'd best use your full power. Otherwise, you will die very quickly. Shao Chen casually swung his saber, not showing any fear of the other party. He met force with force, not dodging at all. Ding. The fist light and the saber clashed, producing a loud clang. The two each moved back 100 steps, evenly matched. Blood leaked out of a corner of Shao Chen's lips. Then, he held his saber with both hands and looked at the other party coldly. The Thunder King, the demonic god, felt stunned. However, when he saw the blood on Shao Chen's lips, he smiled and said, "What a surprise. You became so strong. Unfortunately, I am immortal. However, your flesh is your greatest weakness." Amid loud laughter, black sparks flew out of the Thunder King's fingers. With every step the demonic god took, a black lotus flower appeared under his feet. As the lotus flowers drifted in the air, the demonic god executed Thunder Hell. This time, the Thunder Hell was even stronger than the one the Thunder King executed. Flawless saber technique, heaven-swallowing stance. As Shao Chen swung his saber, countless mysterious phenomena shot out of his body. There was a bright moon, snowflakes, a lightning dragon, a blazing sun, and boundless saber lights. Chapter 1543. It looks like I have to get serious with you. Shao Chen, you are stronger than I thought. The Thunder King's body quickly recovered. Then he waved his right hand, and a huge axe suddenly appeared in his grasp. Shao Chen's eyelids twitched slightly. This huge axe was also a transcendent divine weapon. During the king conferral ceremony, the other party had used this axe when he fought the heaven-abandoning fist. The past truly made one sigh. Suddenly, a thought occurred to Shao Chen. Earlier, the other party said that he regretted nurturing a tiger. Could it be that there was some hidden trouble? However, this thought disappeared in a flash, because the demonic god that the Thunder King possessed had already charged over. The demonic god wielding a weapon did not change its aura much, but it could let go of its arrogance. It no longer fought in a simple and crude manner. Instead, it played combat techniques with Xiaoqin, which posed a greater threat to Xiaoqin. In terms of combat experience, who could compare to the Thunder King, who had lived for more than 10,000 years? Perhaps the only thing that Xiaoqin could rely on was his sharpness and his ultimate killing move. Dang, ding, ding. The huge axe clashed with the saber. The two started an intense battle in the profound domain. The Thunder King had plenty of combat experience. However, Xiaoqian's saber techniques were not weak either. Soon, the two fought for real, becoming increasingly ferocious. The two fought a frenzied battle, accompanied by the miserable cries of the demon race cultivators. As time went by, demon race cultivators fell in large numbers on the battlefield. The demonic world primes held on bitterly, placing all their hopes on the demonic god. They only hoped that the demonic god could turn the tide and kill Xiaoqin before turning the situation around. Aside from focusing on the Thunder King, Xiaoqin also split off a portion of his attention to observe the fight between Ying Zongtian and the other primes. The primes mostly held the upper hand in their fight. Only the Kunlun Palace's palace master fought against Xing Wang and Fa Wang alone, appearing perilous. Xiaoqin found an opening and suddenly executed the divine lightning eye. Xing Wang, who was currently fighting with the Kunlun Palace's palace master, did not react at all. 3 lightning tribulations layered over each other and landed on him. Xiaoqian, who had just experienced a lightning tribulation, gained a new understanding of lightning tribulations. The 3 lightning tribulations merged together and formed a statue of a deity made of lightning. Then it came crashing down. Puji, severely injured, Kingly Punisher was unable to dodge at all. He coughed up a large mouthful of blood and collapsed. How could the Kunlun Palace's palace master let go of such a good opportunity? He swung his saber and chopped Xing Wang in half. After finishing off one, the pressure on the Kunlun Palace's palace master immediately decreased significantly. In a one-on-one fight, even Xing Wang and Fa Wang would not be a match for him. You dare to be distracted while fighting me? Xiaoqin, you're really arrogant. With a sneer, the Thunder King swung his axe down. Boundless thunder roared in the sky. A bolt of lightning tore through the sky and was pulled down by the giant axe. Black lightning descended from the clouds and spread to the giant axe, causing the speed of the axe to suddenly increase by several times. Dang! Xiaoqian, who blocked this axe with his saber, was knocked back 1 kilometer before he managed to stand stably. This is just the beginning. Xiaoqian, let's see how long you can last. Even if I fight for half a year, I will not be able to exhaust my demonic energy. What about you? 3 days? 2 days? Or even 1 day? As the Thunder King held the giant axe, his words dealt a blow to Xiaoqian's confidence, breaking down Xiaoqian's fighting spirit. I don't need that long to kill you. At most, half a day. Xiaoqian did not get angry or happy. His figure flashed, and he took the initiative to charge over. Xiaoqian needed to find an opportunity. As long as he could find one, he would execute all his killing moves and then combine them with his sure kill move to kill the other party. During this period, he could not give the other party any chance to catch his breath. Thunder Purgatory! After fighting for half a day, the Thunder King roared ferociously and used the same move. He did not believe that Xiaoqian could break his domain this time. Black lotus flowers floated in the air once more, each one as heavy as a mountain. They contained extremely compressed demonic chi and flickered with black sparks. They could turn into sharp killing blades at any moment, catching one off guard. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Countless lotus flowers spun around, flying at Xiaoqian in an airtight formation. Fish dragon art, like a fish in water, thousands of changes. In an instant, Xiaoqian's feet moved about within an inch of space, moving thousands of times, creating countless human figures and saber lights. Some of the black lotus flowers were dodged by Xiaoqian, while others were shattered by the saber. One Bodhi leaf, one world, one flower. The Thunder King formed hand seals with one hand, and the situation changed again. Every lotus flower that Xiaoqian shattered turned into countless lotus flowers again. Caught off guard, the afterimages that Xiaoqian created shattered one by one. Unable to dodge, his true body got struck by several lotus flowers. It was as if he had been struck by several mountains, and the huge impact sent him flying. The lotus flowers exploded, and countless strands of demonic chi and lightning ran amok in Xiao Chen's body. The situation suddenly turned grim. Now was the time to kill in one strike. The Thunder King saw an opportunity. His eyes suddenly turned sharp, and he gave up on his plan to fight steadily, becoming more aggressive. Aside from frustration, the main reason was that the demonic world's demon monarchs were being killed one by one. The situation was becoming increasingly disadvantageous to Xiao Chen. If he waited for those supreme beings to free themselves and attack him together, it was very likely that he would be tortured to death. Even if Xiao Chen did not die, he would have to flee to the demonic world and recuperate. It's coming. Xiao Chen's heart sank, feeling somewhat nervous. This time, the other party went all out and finally revealed an opening. Sharp Spirit Finger. When the Thunder King's axe landed, Xiao Chen quickly executed a secret technique that he had not used in a long time, the Sharp Spirit Finger. Xiao Chen focused all his energy, vital chi, veritable essence energy, magic energy, and the demonic chi and black lightning running amok in his body. All of them were concentrated on a single finger. He had purposely revealed a flaw, waiting for this opportunity. In the time it took for a spark to fly, the berserk energy contained in the Sharp Spirit Finger knocked away the Thunder King's axe, causing it to fly out of his hand. However, the Thunder King still maintained the posture of holding the axe with both hands, chopping down with all his might. This finger was too fast and too strong. Xiao Chen did not realize that he had lost the axe at all. By the time he reacted, Xiao Chen opened his left hand. He had already finished storing up energy for the Ice Blood Lightning Dragon's killing move. A berserk tricolor dragon flew out of Xiao Chen's palm. The Ice Blood Lightning Dragon immediately opened a huge bloody hole in the Thunder King's chest. Xiao Chen's movements were smooth and coherent as if he had practiced them 100 times before. Everything happened in the time it took for a spark to fly. The Thunder King's body had not even landed. Xiao Chen's right hand, which held the saber, quickly followed up with a chop. A resplendent saber light chopped the Thunder King's body in half. Countless faces squeezed under the demonic god's skin, looking distorted and horrifying. Clearly, he was in incredible pain. Xiao Chen, I'm going to kill you. I definitely have to kill you. After the demonic god reacted, he threw a palm strike at Xiao Chen at a crazy speed. However, Xiao Chen was already prepared. He placed his left hand on the tip of his saber and blocked this palm strike. However, he was still injured and went flying back while vomiting blood. Clearly, this palm strike from the demonic god was extremely painful. Dragon Blood Soul Breaking Finger. Enduring the intense pain, Xiao Chen executed his final sure kill move as he retreated. Success or failure depended on this finger strike. After putting in a lot of effort, the Thunder King struggled free from the tens of thousands of faces, turning the demonic god back into him. After recovering his face, the demonic god laughed maniacally and said, "Xiao Chen, this is the killing move that you planned for a long time, right? Unfortunately, it still cannot kill me. I am undying." However, as the demonic god spoke, he suddenly felt immense horror. The instant the retreating Xiao Chen sent out that finger strike, his aura suddenly changed drastically. Mysterious phenomena appeared in the sky. Countless strong winds swept through the battlefield. At this moment, Xiao Chen's aura truly suppressed the demonic god. This caused the demonic god to feel fear in the depths of his soul and immense pressure. After recovering his face with much difficulty, the Thunder God's face started changing again. At one moment, it was the Thunder King's face. At another moment, it changed into something else. That was the soul in the demonic god's body feeling fear and starting to struggle. A Soul Dao martial technique. This is impossible, absolutely impossible. Suddenly, the Thunder King felt extreme fear. He wanted to make a move and change something. However, he discovered that he could no longer control the demonic god. A scarlet light shot out from the tip of Xiao Chen's finger. Everything within 10 kilometers entered the scarlet space. With Xiao Chen's eyes, he could see through everything. Soul energy spread throughout the space. It was like there were no secrets in the world. The scarlet light with dragon patterns on it pierced through the demonic god's brain in an instant. The countless souls in the demonic god's body shattered. Countless beams of piercing black light burst out of the demonic god's body from the inside out. As the light bloomed, the demonic god's demonic might receded like a flood. Boom! The demonic god's body exploded. The might and pressure belonging to the demonic god vanished from the entire battlefield, vanishing from the world. Xiao Chen fell to the ground in exhaustion. He held his chest with his right hand and coughed. Then, he got up and headed for the place where the demonic god exploded. He wanted to verify whether the demonic god was truly dead. The tip of the saber sliced the ground, giving off sizzling sounds. Then Xiao Chen walked over step by step. Only an image remained in the deep pit created by the explosion. It looked like it would vanish at any moment, flickering about. That was the Thunder King's soul. His soul was the strongest. Unlike the other souls, it was not destroyed by the soul-breaking finger. However, it was not far from destruction. Looking at the Thunder King's current state, it was clear. Xiao Chen relaxed. He knew that the demonic god was truly dead. Looking at the Thunder King's soul that looked like it would vanish at any moment, Xiao Chen asked, "Do you regret it?" The Thunder King's soul smiled and said, "Regret? I only regret that I did not ruthlessly kill you back then. Don't be happy too early. Unless you do not leave the Kunlun realm, you will not be able to escape death once you leave. I just die before you. The winner takes all. From the day I became the Dark Church's church master, I never regretted it." Ha! Xiao Chen's heart sank. He felt that something was wrong. However, just as he was about to ask something, amid the maniacal laughter, the Thunder King's soul started to flicker intensely, growing fainter and fainter until it vanished. Even in death, this madman who toyed with the many Kunlun realm primes did not show any regret. Chapter 1544. This time, the demonic god finally died. As far as the eye could see, the entire fiend army had already been killed until it was beyond recognition. With the death of the demonic god, these demon cultivators and demonic beast kings became even more horrified, losing all their will to fight. Even the few demon monarchs chose to flee, not daring to linger in battle. After chasing the demon army out of the profound domain, no one gave chase. It was not that they did not want to, but that they were too tired. The Kunlun realm won against the deep abyss demonic world once again. However, the price they paid this time was much more severe than in any of the previous demonic calamities. Rivers of blood flowed in the Xian domain. Every single person who survived felt grief and sorrow. After the battle ended, the people in charge of the various sects gathered the surviving disciples. Many sects, from the sect leaders to the lower-level disciples, were all killed in this battle. Several disciples cried loudly as they looked at the corpses of their friends and family. The furthest distance in the world was life and death. That was a hurdle that could never be crossed. Once lost, there was no way to search for it. It could only appear in one's memories. When the scenes flashed, one would recall the past of their family and friends, leaving only grief. In an instant, the entire mystic region was filled with sorrowful cries. These unyielding men were all unyielding. These unyielding men did not cry even when they were in despair. Now that they chased away the demons, they could no longer hold back their grief and released it. Xiao Chen also felt regret in his heart. There were definitely people from the Dragon's Gate who died as well, including Leng Yu, whom he personally killed. In this battle, Xiao Chen's strength had improved significantly, and he had gained a lot. However, compared to what he lost, the price was too heavy. Big Brother Xiao. Many figures moved around the battlefield. Everyone was busy searching for the corpses of their family and friends. Emo Chen quickly led the Dragon's Gate's people to Xiao Chen's side. Beside her were Xianyuan Zhantian, Lan Xiaobai, Lan Yu, Kim Teho, Gong Yangyu, and many Dragon's Gate doyens. Although they were severely injured, most of them were not dead. Emo Chen explained to Xiao Chen. The main reason was the yin-yang grand formation that Shao Chen left, which united the people of the Dragon's Gate as one. Many of the Dragon's Gate doyens, who fought independently, joined the saber formation the moment there was danger. Among all the sects, the Dragon sect was considered to have suffered lesser losses. This result caused Shao Chen to feel slightly at ease. Not long after, friends of the same generation appeared one after another, greeting Shao Chen. Feng Xingxing, Xue Lingling, and Juanxi, Bai, Yuan Su, and many of Shao Chen's good friends were still around. At this moment, standing in the middle of the battlefield, everyone who had survived felt that it had not been easy. Everyone could feel that it was not easy to live. Shao Chen, this time, the Kunlun realm is all thanks to you. Without you, Kunlun would not have won. Shao Chen shook his head and said, "That's not right. We were able to win by a fluke this time because everyone was united. We disregarded life and death and worked together in exchange for it. Everyone did their best. Just like all of you, I also did my best. They are the real heroes." Shao Chen stretched out his hand and pointed at the Kunlun realm cultivators who died in battle. Everyone followed his finger, shifting their gazes. Many scenes seemed to appear before everyone's eyes. There was the touching scene of Fu Hongyao stabbing Chu Yang with countless swords and falling down together. There was also Yen Shisan and Di Wuk, two outstanding talents, releasing the final light of their lives in exchange for a celestial demon monarch's head. There was also the shocking scene of the three holy masters' son, Xiao Hoju, dying in battle and Shimen Bao's entire family dying on the battlefield. Those vivid scenes, those familiar names. Thinking about it, those shared experiences seemed like it was just yesterday. Tears welled up in everyone's eyes as they felt a strange sorrow. These were all outstanding talents of the same generation. Everyone had interacted before, barging into the Forbidden Lands together and participating in the martial gathering together. There had been battles, trials and tribulations, as well as battles of wills and emotions. However, now they could no longer see those people. Everything became a memory. During the great battle, everyone suffered together. It was easy to imagine that the Kunlun realm would be peaceful for a long time to come. The Kunlun realm would enter a period of cultivation and recuperation. With the lingering charm of the Golden Age, the Kunlun realm would develop very quickly. These outstanding talents who had experienced the baptism of war would definitely grow very quickly as well. It is too unfortunate that Di Wuk and Yen Shisan died, and Juanxi said in a somewhat choked voice as he rubbed his eyes. The place fell silent. Everyone felt very heavy in their hearts. Shao Chen said, "Everyone, go back first and deal with the aftermath. There are still some loose ends that need to be taken care of. Goodbye." Everyone stepped forward and performed cupped fist salutes at the same time, saying goodbye to Shao Chen. After the outstanding talents of the same generation left, the Kunlun Palace's palace master, Ing Zongtian, and the others arrived before Shao Chen. The four looked at each other. Everyone was somewhat speechless. After a simple greeting, the Kunlun Palace's palace master said, "Shao Chen, you deal with the Dragon's Gate's matter as well. Leave the loose ends to the Kunlun Palace. We have experience with this." Ing Zongtian said, "Of the 18 demon monarchs, only 8 remain. They all fled back to the demonic world. After you deal with the Dragon's Gate's matter, we can discuss what to do." Shao Chen entered deep thought. Then he said, "Leave this to me. I will make a trip to the deep abyss demonic world. With my strength, this time, I will be able to eliminate all the hidden dangers of the demon race." When the primes heard this, they nodded slightly. With Shao Chen making a move, that would be for the best. "Everyone, I will take my leave first. There are still many matters of the deity race waiting for me to deal with." Emperor Forsaken appeared extremely fatigued. This time, the deity race suffered heavy losses. The death of the divine son, Di Wuk, was a huge blow to Emperor Forsaken. "I will take my leave as well." Everyone took their leave. They all had some necessary matters to deal with. Everyone was very busy on the battlefield. Shao Chen still had something to deal with, so he could not return to the Dragon's Gate for now. Although Shao Chen had the Lunar Shadow Saber, the item spirit, Ao Jiao, had not returned yet. Although he could sense that she was fine, he still had to find her and understand what happened. After informing Mo Chen, Xiao Chen followed his senses and found the restricted Ao Jiao 50 kilometers outside the profound domain. Xiao Chen frowned slightly. Why is Ao Jiao here? Furthermore, someone is restricting her. When Ao Jiao saw Xiao Chen, her eyes immediately darted around. However, she could not move at all. When Xiao Chen saw this scene, he smiled faintly and went over to help her remove the restriction. The restriction setup was not malicious. It was just a restriction to trap people. However, the method used was quite brilliant. Xiao Chen tried a few times before he managed to remove the restriction. It was very troublesome. You are finally here. I nearly suffocated to death. Did you kill the demonic god? Xiao Chen nodded and said, the demonic god is already dead, and the remnant demon armies have retreated from the Kunlun realm. The war is over. We won. That's great. I knew you would be able to do it. You really did it. Xiao Chen said indifferently, I won by luck. Tell me about you. Who restricted you? Why did you leave the lunar shadow saber for no reason at all? Ao Jiao sighed and said, aren't I helping you? After a person's head is chopped off, if it can be reattached quickly, it can still be saved. At that time, you held off the Thunder King. This was a rare opportunity. Naturally, I could not miss it. Xiao Chen was stunned, and his expression changed drastically. Could it be that Leng Yu is not dead yet? What happened after that? Did you save Leng Yu? Ao Jiao said helplessly, I don't know. I just helped to stitch up her head and body. I don't know if I can save her or not. Then, someone snatched Leng Yu away. I ran out to give chase. After that, this is what you see now. Xiao Chen asked anxiously, did you see that person? What does he look like? How strong is he? If Leng Yu did not die, then he would have fewer regrets in this war. I don't know. That person was too fast and very strong. At the very least, he is a prime. Ao Jiao lowered her head and said softly, sorry, this is all I can do to help. After thinking for a while, Xiao Chen's expression turned much warmer. He said warmly, it's fine. I already roughly guessed who did it. Who is it? My greatest enemy. Chapter 1545. Xiao Chen already had a rough guess as to who kidnapped Leng Yu. More accurately, it should be the one who saved Leng Yu. Someone who could interact with Leng Yu and risk his life to save her. Furthermore, the only one who could do this without anyone noticing was Chu Chaoyan. Aside from Chu Chaoyan, who else could it be? However, this was a good thing. Leng Yu would not die. After this battle, Xiao Chen no longer had any regrets. He had done his best to kill the demonic god. Most of the people of the Dragon's Gate were still alive. This was already a great consolation. Ao Jiao, rest first. I'll make a trip to the Blue Dragon Palace. Xiao Chen said softly as he looked at Ao Jiao. Ao Jiao nodded and turned into a beam of light, returning to the immortal spirit ring. The old dragon horse and the others had been waiting in the Blue Dragon Palace for a long time already, respectfully waiting for Xiao Chen. Congratulations, young master, on killing the demonic god and eliminating a threat to the Kunlun realm. This battle severely injured the Dark Church. If the outside factions want to target the Kunlun realm, they will need at least tens of thousands of years to prepare. The moment the young woman entered the palace, she spoke up. Young master, seeing that your cultivation is even more stable and that you learned a Soul Dao martial technique, you must have met the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor, the old dragon horse said with a smile. Young master, tell us, what kind of person is this blood-soaked Dragon Emperor? There are many legends about him in the dragon race. The others rushed to ask Xiao Chen a bunch of questions. Xiao Chen nodded slightly and answered some of them. However, what kind of person was the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor? There was no way to give a simple summary. Like Xiao Chen, that person wore long white robes and had a sinister look on his face, looking like he was smiling. However, the cold, killing chi in that person's eyes made it hard for others to associate that expression with a smile. This person's character was also extremely strange. One moment he showed extreme disdain for Xiao Chen. Then, he told Xiao Chen all the important points of the Soul Dao martial technique in detail. What kind of character was this? A tsundere? These people probably could not accept that the blood-soaked dragon emperor, whom the dragon race revered as a legend, was such a strange person. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "The blood-soaked dragon emperor is very strong. I have not interacted with him for long, so it is hard to say what kind of person he is. These are all minor details. Young master, when do you plan to leave this banished land?" The old dragon horse asked simply and straightforwardly. Xiao Chen said thoughtfully, "I still have some trivial matters to deal with in the Kunlun realm. Furthermore, I am not ready yet. I am afraid I cannot leave for a while." The old dragon horse nodded and said with a serious expression, "No matter when you leave, there is one thing that you must do. Then Big Brother Long, go ahead. The reconstructed Dragon's Gate must leave behind the blue dragon totem for people to worship and worship." Xiao Chen said thoughtfully, "What's the reason? Do you know why no one can obtain the blue dragon martial spirit after the Dragon's Gate is destroyed? It is because the totem is no longer around. As long as the totem receives enough worship, the Dragon's Gate disciples who signed a contract with the totem will eventually have a blue dragon martial spirit. At that time, they will come to our Blue Dragon Palace to take the test. As long as they pass the test, we will help them activate their Blue Dragon bloodline. As long as the sect prospers, the Blue Dragon bloodline will be reborn." At this point, the old dragon horse paused for a while before continuing, "Of course, there is a prerequisite to all this." "What prerequisite?" "The prerequisite is that you can become the Dragon Emperor," the Dragon's Gate said, enunciating every word as it looked at Xiao Chen. The other Blue Dragon Palace's item spirits said, "Young master, this is an unavoidable responsibility as the master of the Blue Dragon Palace. I hope you can understand that our Blue Dragon bloodline has been destroyed in the outside world for tens of thousands of years already. However, we have never given up or despaired. Now we place all our hopes on you. Young master, you can definitely do it. Even the strongest blood-soaked dragon emperor chose you." Xiao Chen could feel the fervor, pride, and glory in their words. "Since I chose the Blue Dragon Palace, I definitely will not give up. However, I have a question. Earlier, Big Brother Dragon, you said that after the Dragon's Gate's totem was destroyed, it would not be possible to give birth to a blue dragon martial spirit. Why can I?" The Dragon's Gate's group exchanged looks, not knowing how to answer. In the end, it was the Dragon's Gate's gate that said, "Young master, actually, we discovered long ago that you have other secrets. It is not as simple as we thought. You can only unravel all this on your own. Even in the outside world, I have never seen such an exquisite cultivation technique for your Purple Thunder Divine Incantation. To think that it can allow one to dual cultivate immortal energy and martial energy, cultivating magic energy and essence energy at the same time. I believe that back then, the blood-soaked Dragon Emperor also discovered your secret. That's why he took the risk to pass on a Soul Dao martial technique to you, as your soul energy is very strong." The girl in her prime continued, "Actually, I also know the dragon blood soul-breaking finger. However, it is not as mighty as young master's. Furthermore, young master, this is your first time cultivating it. This is very unusual." Xiao Chen looked at the serious expressions of these people. These were major characters with much higher cultivations than him. "It is that incredible?" The few nodded at the same time and said, "Extremely terrifying." Xiao Chen smiled and did not say anything more about his secret. He could guess that it had something to do with the Sky Dome Immortal Lord. However, it was not time to tell others yet. "Big Brother Dragon, let me ask you something. Did you manage to figure out the origins of that dark church?" After thinking for a while, the old dragon horse answered, "It is the Black Lotus Church, an evil sect born from the Buddhist sect. It is not very strong, but the Buddhist sect has not been able to completely destroy this sect. This is sufficient to show that this Black Lotus Church still has some accumulations." This stunned Xiao Chen. Then he asked seriously, "Big Brother Dragon, take a look at me. Is there anything wrong with me? Let me take a look." Suddenly, the girl in her prime opened her eyes. Many stars flickered in her eyes. It was like everything in the world froze before her eyes. Xiao Chen felt a force travel around his body. However, he could not figure out the meridians and direction of this force. This is soul energy. For this girl to be able to use her soul energy so nimbly, she was at least 2 cultivation realms higher than him. What is that? The azure-clad man said, pointing to an indistinct clump of black qi at Xiao Chen's chest. Lotus flower seal. When Xiao Chen looked carefully, that was the silhouette of a black lotus. However, it was too blurry and hard to distinguish. Hong Yi, take a look and see if you can help him get rid of it. This should have been planted by that demonic god when you fought with him. Xiao Chen thought for a while. He had fought with the demonic god for too long and had too many opportunities to make a move. He simply could not imagine when the demonic god planted this seal on him. The girl in her prime nodded and gathered her soul energy at Xiao Chen's chest. However, after a few attempts, the black lotus flower seal would grow back. There was no way to get rid of it. Big Brother Long, this lotus flower seal is not harmful and will not cause any damage to the body. However, it has merged with young master's flesh and soul. It can only be removed once young master's soul and physical body are destroyed, the girl in her prime said helplessly as she withdrew her soul energy. The girl in her prime withdrew her soul energy and said helplessly. Xiao Chen's heart sank. No wonder the Thunder King said that he would not leave the Kunlun realm unless he did not leave. Otherwise, once he left, he would not be able to escape death. It was just a matter of time. The Dragon King studied it for a while. Then he looked at Xiao Chen and said, "It looks like there is really no way to get rid of this black lotus flower seal. This seal should be used to track people. However, I find it strange that the Black Lotus Church made such a big fuss to track you. In the past, I felt that it was too difficult for a faction like the Black Lotus Church to waste so many resources to obtain a rock of origin. I felt that they wanted something else. Perhaps the problem lies with you." The girl in her prime looked at the old dragon horse and asked, "Big Brother Long, what should we do?" With Xiao Chen's current strength, not to mention the Black Lotus Church's churchmaster, even his subordinates can capture Xiao Chen. The old dragon horse said calmly, "There is no need to rush. I have some ways to deal with this. When Xiao Chen decides to leave, I should be able to figure it out." "In that case, many thanks, Big Brother Long. Young master, you are too polite. Give me the Emperor Dragon Ring in your hand. I'll go and retrieve the divine material for the Soaring Dragon Ring." Emperor Dragon Ring? What Emperor Dragon Ring? Xiao Chen felt confused for a while before realizing that the old dragon horse was referring to the ring that his father left for him. Rumor has it that the dragon god obtained this ring during the Great Desolate Aeon. The original item was a special divine material. The dragon god did not completely comprehend its mysteries. He only polished it into a ring and passed it down from generation to generation, becoming the symbol of the Dragon Emperor. What happened after that? During the Blood-Soaked Dragon Emperor's generation, the Blood-Soaked Dragon Emperor treated it as the personal belonging of our Blue Dragon Bloodline's clan head, passing it down from generation to generation. No one gossiped about it. What gossiping? The Blood-Soaked Dragon Emperor is a great contributor to the entire dragon race. Without him, the dragon race would not have its current glory. It would have declined long ago, the girl in her prime said disapprovingly. The old dragon horse smiled and said, "Actually, it is the blood-soaked dragon emperor who feels that this Emperor Dragon Ring has other mysteries. Although he cannot comprehend it, it does not mean that the blue dragon's descendants cannot. He is taking care of our bloodline. Although the other bloodlines are unhappy, this ring is just a symbol, so it is up to the blood-soaked dragon emperor to do whatever he wants." When Xiao Chen heard this, he felt speechless. This blood-soaked dragon emperor was truly tyrannical. No wonder the blue dragon's descendants respected him. Chapter 1546. After walking out of the Blue Dragon Palace, Xiao Chen continued to stare at the Emperor Dragon Ring in his hand. Unexpectedly, this insignificant ring had such a great origin. It was actually left from the Dragon God's era. The Dragon God was the father of the 3 ancestor dragons. Before the world was created, when the universe was still in primal chaos, he was already a primal chaos god demon. Even during that legendary era, he was a famous existence. However, after the primal chaos era ended, these god-demons all sealed themselves. However, they all had descendants. The three ancestor dragons were the descendants of the dragon god, representing the will of the dragon god. During the Great Desolate Aeon, they competed with the 10,000 races. Shao Chun thought, the dragon god already knows the mysteries of the Emperor Dragon Ring. It is just that the later generations found it hard to understand. Otherwise, the dragon god would not deliberately carve it into a ring, passing it down from generation to generation. Unfortunately, no one in the dragon race could understand it. As for Shao Chun, he only needed to watch. This was something that the successive dragon emperors could not understand, so he could only watch. In the Blue Dragon Palace, Big Brother Dragon gave Shao Chun a piece of Blue Dragon Divine Wood and a Divine Knife Skills inspection. The knife skills were not the saber of a bladesman but the carving knife of an engraver. Shao Chun needed to personally carve the Blue Dragon Totem. At first, Shao Chun thought that this would be a simple matter. After all, in the past, for the sake of practicing the life bestowal spell, he had studied carving for a while. Who knew, after hearing about it, he realized that it was a vast project. The Blue Dragon Divine Wood was 1 kilometer tall. The blue dragon carved in it would probably be several kilometers long. After carving the 10,000 dragon scales, they would look like ripples on water. There could not be any flaws. Otherwise, the charm of the Blue Dragon Totem would not be as it should be. There were also the dragon claws, dragon tail, dragon horns, dragon head, and dragon eyes. They all had their own requirements. This was also why Big Brother Dragon gave Shao Chun the Divine Knife Skills inspection. Without this inspection, it would be very difficult for Shao Chun to carve the Blue Dragon Totem with his current carving skills. Shao Chun treated it as nourishing his heart. His cultivation could not advance any further, stuck at late-stage veritable essence stage in the Kunlun realm. The next realm, the Yin essence stage, required one to absorb the baleful Yin energy in the world. However, those were too low in quality. The old dragon horse did not recommend that Shao Chun absorb them. More importantly, his cultivation had already reached the limits of the Kunlun realm. At this moment, Heavenly Star Island was already in the clouds, flying towards the heavenly starry ocean. After the great battle, Shao Chun had finally calmed down. All he needed to do now was wait for the battle with Chu Chaoyan. There was another problem, the black lotus mark in his body. Elder Brother Long did not have a good way to deal with it at the moment. Thinking about it carefully, the Thunder King's words showed that he really wanted to kill him before he grew up. However, for some reason he had never taken action. The Black Lotus Church is an evil sect that broke away from Buddhism. Why is it seeking trouble for me? Shao Chun, speaking of Buddhism, have you forgotten something? Ao Jiao suddenly said from the immortal spirit ring. Did you forget something? Ksitigarbha. Shao Chun stopped. He had really forgotten about the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva. He had been busy dealing with the demonic calamity. Now that the great battle had just ended, if not for Ao Jiao's reminder, Shao Chun would have completely forgotten about this person. Shao Chun had not even refined the Heavenly Flame's origin flame. Refining the Heavenly Flame's origin flame required time and a special method. Shao Chun had not been able to find the method, so he could only put it aside for now. After that, he first busied himself with dealing with the Thunder King in the Heavenly Starry Ocean and saving the various sections. After that was the demonic calamity. Shao Chun had no time to rest at all. Now, he had to carve the Blue Dragon Totem. He nearly overworked himself. Where could the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva be? He must be at Meteor Trail City. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva must be using this opportunity to absorb the sins in the sky above Meteor Trail City. Shao Chun's face sank. He did not even have time to greet the Dragon's Gates people. Instead, he leaped off Heavenly Star Island and rushed to the Tianwu Domain's Meteor Trail City. Shao Chun unfurled the Blue Dragon Divine Wings and flew very quickly. In less than 7 or 8 minutes, he arrived at Meteor Trail City. Shao Chun withdrew his wings and landed. Then he looked up. Indeed, most of the red sun clouds above Meteor Trail City had vanished, leaving only a small patch. In the sky above the clouds, The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's dermic body was currently absorbing the last of the scarlet clouds. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva gave off a peaceful Buddhist light behind him. Amid the bright Buddhist light, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva looked solemn and dignified, inspiring respect. The dermic body had the divine Vajra eyes. When the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva saw Shaochen arrive, he opened his mouth and sucked, directly swallowing the last of the scarlet sins. Benefactor Shaochen, you are too late. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva revealed a benevolent smile. Then he withdrew his dermic body and quickly fled into the distance. It's not that easy to run. How could Shaochen allow the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva to leave so easily? He gently pushed off the ground and soared into the air, quickly giving chase. Since there is karma, there is karma. Everything is predestined. These sins were originally mine. Back then, the Qing Emperor took away the good and evil merit formula. Today, you return it to me. This is the cycle of karma. Benefactor Shaochen, there's no need to obstruct us. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's true body sat on the golden lotus platform. As he looked at Shaochen, he continuously retreated. Buddhist light flickered beneath the lotus platform, allowing him to move extremely quickly. Thus, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva, who was sitting on the lotus platform, was rather calm. He could even divert his attention to purify the last of his sins. Stop quibbling. Which one of you Buddhists isn't eloquent and eloquent? If you become a Buddha, how can you really let me go? Shaochen had always been straightforward. Whether or not the other party absorbed sin had nothing to do with him. Whether he became a Buddha or not, or whether he had any ambitions, he did not care. However, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva had a grudge with Shaochen long ago. That would endanger his safety and might even hurt his friends. Shaochen needed to nip this danger in the bud. Back at Heavenly Star Island Sea region, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's method of absorbing faith was also very evil. He did not care about the lives of his believers at all. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva smiled and said, Benefactor is a very understanding person. The karma between us has not been settled. After this Bodhisattva becomes a Buddha, I need to end this karma. Otherwise, it will become a negative karma. Unfortunately, you are no longer able to injure me. It is already too late. May the Lord Buddha praise me. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva formed a hand seal with one hand, and his figure suddenly vanished from Shaochen's sight. Whoosh! Shaochen stopped in midair and checked the surroundings with his spiritual sense. He discovered that the other party seemed to have vanished into thin air, nowhere to be seen. Where did he go? Shaochen. Just as Shaochen was at his wit's end, someone suddenly called out his name in the sky. When Shaochen looked up, he saw a palanquin rushing towards him. The 8-ghost palanquin. It's Qing Cheng. The person who came was the ghost race's Qing Cheng, the disciple of ghost mother Sun Shi. She had interacted with Shaochen many times and could be considered a friend in times of adversity. Qing Cheng floated down from the palanquin. Like before, her complexion was pale, without a trace of blood. When Qing Cheng saw Shaochen, she smiled and landed before her. Qing Cheng, why are you here? When Qing Cheng heard that, she covered her mouth and smiled. Me? This is the ghost domain. After the battle, if I don't return here, where should I go? Ghost domain. Shaochen's mind trembled as he thought of something. The Yellow Springs Purgatory. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva must have gone to the Yellow Springs Purgatory. No wonder the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva vanished without a trace. The Yellow Springs Purgatory was his lair. Sorry, I still have something important to do. I really can't chat any longer. Shaochen performed a cupped fist salute and prepared to rush to the Yellow Springs Purgatory. Qing Cheng quickly stopped him and said, Wait, tell me where you are going first. The Yellow Springs Purgatory. Qing Cheng's expression changed slightly. She said sullenly, Don't go there for now. When my master returns, we'll bring you there. How about that? Surprised, Shaochen said, What's wrong? We've been to the Yellow Springs Hell before. Given our current strength, what's wrong with going there? Qing Cheng shook her head and said, There is something you don't know. The current Yellow Springs Hell is really different from before. Why do you think our ghost realm has not gone to the Kunlun realm to meet up with you after the death of the ghost monarch? Why? Could it be because of the Yellow Springs? That's right. It's because of the Yellow Springs hell, the final moments of the ghost emperor's life. He frequently appears in the Yellow Springs hell, which makes him seem extremely strange. He even sealed the entrance to hell, forbidding outsiders from entering. Qing Cheng continued to explain. Furthermore, many of his direct descendants are still in the Yellow Springs hell, not killed. My master has attacked the entrance to hell several times in an attempt to figure out what's going on inside, but to no avail. Xiao Chen muttered to himself. This was indeed a little strange. However, this only served to further prove that the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva was in the Yellow Springs. Chapter 1547. After pondering for a moment, Xiao Chen nodded and said, "All right, I'll listen to you. When it's time, I'll go with your master." Qing Cheng smiled faintly and said, "I'll inform my master now. Let's go to the Yellow Springs Hell and wait for your master." The Yellow Springs Hell was one of the famous forbidden lands of the Kunlun realm. Its fame was comparable to the savage battlefield. During the immortal epoch, before the 6 paths of reincarnation broke, this place was the netherworld, in charge of the 3 realms and 6 paths, the reincarnation of all living things. In that era, if one did not become an immortal, they would be reincarnated forever. Based on the merits of good and evil, the underworld would judge and appoint them to reincarnate in the next life. Those who were evil would enter the path of beasts, and in their next life, they would be pigs, dogs, and beasts without intelligence. They would inevitably be slaughtered by others. On the other hand, those who committed great crimes and committed great evils would be tortured in hell according to their sins. It was a horrible sight to behold. Those who did good would be reincarnated as humans in the next life and walk the cycle of reincarnation. Those who had great merit could even directly enter the heavenly Tao. They were born with a celestial physique and were nurtured by the heavens and the earth. They were known as heavenly soldiers and generals. Now that the immortal Tao was broken, reincarnation no longer existed, and hell no longer existed. All that was left was the shattered Yellow Springs hell. The past was like smoke. The facts of the past had become the legends and myths of today. In this era, reincarnation no longer existed, and there were no immortals in the world. Everyone could only live for one lifetime, and very few people believed in merit. But who could have known that a bodhisattva from the previous era had always been hidden in the infernal realm? He made a great vow that he would not become a Buddha until hell was empty. He waited for millions of years. His willpower and his heart towards Buddhism were both terrifying. It just so happened that such a person was an extremely ambitious person. In order to achieve his goal, he would do anything. They only knew how to take, not how to give. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva was an extremely frightening existence. Strictly speaking, his origins were much greater than the Thunder King and the demonic god. Half a day later, Xiao Chen and Qing Cheng arrived at the Tai Mountains above the Yellow Springs Hell. Grand Mountain was the same as before. The surrounding 50 kilometers were filled with Yin energy. Occasionally, one could see wandering souls and wild ghosts drifting about. At the foot of the mountain, there was a turbid river that flowed from the top of the mountain all the way to the ground. This river was the famous underworld river. It was also known as the River of the Dead, the Yellow Springs, and the River of Helplessness. However, the river had long since been incomplete. The cycle of reincarnation had shattered, and the Heaven-Step Dusk River had been broken into several pieces. Many of the strange characteristics of the river had been lost. If one walked down this river, they would reach 9 hells purgatory. "Xiao Chen, do you remember this river?" Qing Cheng asked softly as she recalled some past events. "Of course I remember." Xiao Chen looked around with some nostalgia. He remembered the last time he was here, there were many cultivators gathered at the riverbank. This time, only the sound of the river could be heard, and the surroundings were empty. When they crossed the river, something interesting happened. At that time, the boatman was Qing Cheng in disguise. Xiao Chen, Bai, and the others were almost caught in a dilemma. The memories stopped here. If they continued, the situation would become a little awkward. It seems like someone wanted to take off my clothes at that time. Although Xiaochen did not want to remember, Qing Cheng took the initiative to mention it. She looked at Xiaochen mischievously. Xiaochen smiled embarrassedly. Just as he did not know how to answer, a figure descended from the sky. It was Ghost Mother Xuanqian. The smile on Qing Cheng's face faded, replaced by a serious expression. Blue Dragon King, sorry for making you wait, Ghost Mother Xuanqian said politely, showing great respect to Xiaochen. Xiaochen smiled calmly and said, Ghost Mother is too polite. I would like to know what is so special about this Yellow Springs Purgatory. Ghost Mother Xuanqian nodded and said, the entrance to the underworld river into the Yellow Springs Purgatory is blocked by a Buddha statue. That Buddha statue can draw energy from the underworld river and is very difficult to deal with. I organized a few groups of people but could not break that Buddha statue. I do not know much about what the Yellow Springs Purgatory looks like now. Xiaochen entered deep thought. It looked like Ghost Mother Xuanqian did not know much. Come with me to take a look. In the past, one could not fly over the underworld river. However, to the current Xiaochen, it was naturally not restricted. As for Qing Cheng and Ghost Mother, one was a greater heavenly martial emperor and the other was a holy master. It would not be difficult for them to fly there. Above the underworld river, Xiaochen kept feeling a strange suction from below, trying to pull him down. Now, Xiaochen had already touched the surface of Soul Dao martial techniques. He knew that this was the soul energy of the underworld river causing trouble. Although Emperor Wu and the others could not cultivate soul energy, their soul energy would definitely grow stronger as their strength increased. It was just that they could not use it. With Emperor Wu's soul energy, the suction from the underworld river was no longer effective. Xiaochen flew along the underworld river, continuously descending. Soon, he arrived at the end of the underworld river. Xiaochen saw the Buddha statue that Ghost Mother Xuanqian mentioned. It was a 1,000-meter-tall Buddha statue radiating golden light as it sat on the underworld river. The Buddha statue's huge body made the underground space seem small. The depths of hell are not for mortals. All of you, quickly retreat. Suddenly, the Buddha statue opened its eyes, and its entire body radiated golden light. Waves of Buddhist might caused the underworld river's water to surge endlessly. What a strong Buddhist might! Qing Cheng exclaimed with a slight frown. Ghost Mother Xuanqian said, there are many arhats behind the Buddha statue. They are laying formations, allowing the Buddha statue's strength to increase infinitely. Mortal? Are you not a mortal? Xiaochen smiled coldly. Then he stepped forward and punched. Rumble. The underworld river's water rose continuously and covered the Buddha statue, looking like it was covered in golden paint. The Buddha statue formed hand seals with one hand and blocked Xiaochen's punch. Its golden body did not budge, and the Buddhist light became even more intense. Interesting. Unfortunately, I don't have time to play with you anymore. Xiaochen shouted, and 10,000 dragon force gathered into a dragon cauldron. Then, the cauldron's force burst out. Xiaochen was fast and ruthless. Before the Buddha statue could react, it got struck in the chest. Cracks appeared on the Buddha statue's body, spreading out like a spiderweb. Just as the Buddha statue looked like it was about to shatter, solemn Buddhist scriptures rang out behind it. The underworld river's water surged continuously. The cracks on the Buddha statue, which had already shattered, quickly mended. Soon it was as good as new. That's it. This Buddha statue cannot be killed at all. We tried several times already, Ghost Mother Xuanqian said softly. This was not her first time seeing this scene. Xiaochen carefully looked at the Buddha statue. After a while, he understood what was going on. I thought there was some trick to it. It is just using the underworld river's soul energy to recover. Acting all mysterious. Today I will destroy your soul. Xiaochen shouted coldly, and Dao Might appeared on his body. A faint halo appeared behind him. The moment the Dao Might appeared, it immediately suppressed the other party's Buddhist might. Xiaochen stretched out his hand, and a strong veritable essence energy formed a whirlpool in his palm. Whoosh, whoosh. The strong suction continuously pulled the underworld river's water into the whirlpool. This sight stunned Qing Cheng. She had never thought that someone could pull the underworld river's water. When the Buddha statue saw this scene, it formed hand seals and sent out attacks at Xiao Qin. However, Ghost Mother Xuanqian blocked all the attacks, not injuring Xiao Qin at all. In reality, even without Ghost Mother Xuanqian making a move, Xiao Qin would be fine. However, with someone helping, it was better for Xiao Qin to focus. Soon, the underworld river under Xiao Qin's feet sank by 1 meter, separating the Buddha statue from the underworld river temporarily. Now, Xiao Qin punched. This time, after the Buddha statue shattered, no matter how loudly the Buddha's scriptures were chanted, the Buddha statue could not recover. When the Buddha statue shattered, a figure was sent flying out of it. It turned out that this Buddha statue was the Dharmic incarnation of a Buddhist cultivator. Now that the Dharmic incarnation was destroyed, the true body was revealed. The arhats chanting in the back all fled in all directions the instant the Buddha statue shattered. Xie Zishuan! Qing Cheng exclaimed when she saw that person's appearance. This person was the ghost monarch's disciple, Xie Zishuan. It was hard to imagine that this person became a Buddhist cultivator. Don't call me Xie Zishuan. My Dharmic name is Dao Xian now. You mortals, how dare you barge into my master's place? You will not have a good end. Shock filled Qing Cheng's face. She could not imagine how a perfectly fine person could become so strange. Don't find it strange. He has been purified, which is equivalent to brainwashing. He is now the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva's slave. If we follow him, we will be able to find the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva. This did not surprise Xiao Qin. He took the initiative to give chase. Ghost Mother Xuanqian and Qing Cheng quickly followed. Chapter 1548. Xiao Chen and the other two followed far behind Xie Zishuan. As they walked, they discovered that hell had changed greatly. The gloomy darkness of the past had disappeared and was replaced by peace and serenity. Even the sky was clear. In the past, they did not see any wandering spirits or ghosts, much less any terrifying vengeful spirits or evil spirits. This startled Xiao Qin. Could it be that the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva purified all the vengeful spirits in hell? If hell is not empty, I swear not to become a Buddha. The sins on Xiao Qin had once been a part of hell. Back then, the Qing emperor snatched them away. Now, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva had already purified all the sins on the Qing emperor and purified all the vengeful spirits in hell. Did that not mean that Xiao Qin had already accomplished his great ambition? With this thought, Xiao Qin suddenly stopped. He raised his head and looked coldly at Xie Zishuan in the distance. Blue Dragon King, what's wrong? Ghost Mother Xuanqi asked, feeling confused as she stepped forward. Qing Cheng, who was at the side, felt confused as well. She did not know why Xiao Qin suddenly stopped. Xiao Qin muttered, "We might have fallen for a trap. The other party probably lured us here on purpose." Ghost Mother Xuanqi and Qing Cheng exchanged looks, both extremely shocked. What kind of enemy was this? Even the Blue Dragon King, who had defeated a demonic god, found it difficult to deal with? However, the two soon discovered that they had misunderstood Xiao Qin. However, that's fine as well. It saves me the trouble of traveling further. Let's just wait for him here, Xiao Qin said softly with a faint smile. Qing Cheng thought to herself, the current Xiao Qin is really confident. Indeed, after a while, a Buddhist light appeared in front of them. You truly live up to being the descendant of the Qing emperor. You are very smart and intelligent. I think you should follow this bodhisattva and enter the Buddhist sect. When you reach the great realm, I will take care of you. I will guarantee that you will rise quickly. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva sat on a lotus platform amid Buddhist chants, appearing in the sky with a group of arhats. There was a novice monk on each side, holding a canopy above his head. The 800 arhats were all wearing kasayas and holding Buddhist flutes and beads in their hands. They formed seals with one hand and released circles of Buddhist wheels. Like the stars surrounding the moon, the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva glowed with radiance. His face was kind and amiable, and his eyes narrowed slightly as he spoke with a smile. You've already expiated all of the vengeful souls in hell? Xiao Qin frowned slightly. He looked over and realized that he could no longer see through the other party. Benefactor Shao, you guessed right. I left a clone to purify the aggrieved spirits of hell. Now that his main body had merged with his clone, he had already purified all the spirits of hell. My ancient Buddha Chi has already spread out of the Kunlun realm. As long as the Buddhist holy land outside receives my Chi, the Buddhist eminent monks will immediately come to receive me. As long as you are willing to put down the butcher's knife, you can become a Buddha immediately. With a Buddhist sect powerhouse making a move, we can easily leave this abandoned land. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva spoke. His appearance was very dignified, and his expression was solemn. His words were like the principles of the world, inspiring conviction in others. Shaochen smiled coldly and retorted, "What if I am not willing? May the Lord Buddha grant you mercy. In that case, this old monk can only forcefully purify you and wash away your sins." The many arhats leaped out and looked at Shaochen malevolently. The Buddhist prayer beads in their hands gave off a bright light as they sent out many swastikas. The 800 arhats appeared very mighty. However, Shaochen had experienced the great war between humans and demons before. Such a formation paled in comparison. The 800 arhats only had the strength of 800 Emperor Wus. If it were an ordinary prime, Shaochen might feel some fear. After all, when 800 Emperor Wus attacked together, their destructive power was extremely terrifying. However, Shaochen was different. His blue dragon warbody's physical defense already surpassed that of the heaven-punishing corpse god. Furthermore, his veritable essence energy surpassed primordial energy. Furthermore, the battle with the demonic god had given him many comprehensions. Although Shaochen's cultivation had risen, his combat prowess had increased significantly. Sharp spirit finger, break. Not wanting to waste time, Shaochen directly executed the sharp spirit finger when the 800 arhats attacked at the same time. Kasu. The countless seals instantly shattered, and the bodies of the 800 arhats exploded into pools of blood, dying on the spot. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva's expression changed drastically. He had not expected Shaochen to kill the 800 arhats in one move. Shaochen said indifferently, "Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, you probably did not see my battle with the demonic god and are not clear on my strength. To think that you set this up to ambush me. Don't you know that this is exactly what I wanted?" Right after Shaochen spoke, he glared. The blood in his body surged, and dragon might gathered. His eyes turned a dazzling golden color. These were the great desolate divine eyes that every descendant of the great desolate 100 races possessed. Under the strong pressure, the Buddhist light on the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva withdrew into his body, completely suppressed. He could not send out any Buddhist might at all. Damn it! How can you be so strong? Even the Qing Emperor back then could not reach your level. The Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva panicked. Originally, he estimated that Shaochen would be at most as strong as the Qing Emperor back then. However, how could the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva have expected that Shaochen's strength had already surpassed that of the Qing Emperor back then? Shaochen was not someone that the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, who had just recovered some of his true strength, could deal with. Damn it! Right now, the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva wished that he could slap himself twice. To think that he thought himself clever and lured the other party to the Yellow Springs Hell. Had he known, he would have found a place to hide and waited for the powerhouses of the Buddhist sects to bring him out of this abandoned land. The lotus platform flew quickly, carrying the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva back to the Yellow Springs Hell. Wait for me for a while. Shaochen instructed before giving chase alone. One chased while the other fled. Soon, the two crossed the gates of hell and arrived at the black and white Yellow Springs Hell. The Yellow Springs Hell Road. Do not look back on the Yellow Springs Hell Road. Shaochen recalled that back then, when he walked this Yellow Springs Hell Road, he had been on tenterhooks and extremely nervous. Today, he returned to this place and chased after the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva, forcing him to flee. Fate played tricks on people in the world. Bush. Strands of saber light shot out from Shaochen, heading for the Ksitigarbha Bodhisattva in front. Every strand of saber light illuminated this black and white world, making it colorful and bright. What the Qing Emperor could do back then, Shaochen could do as well. After comprehending the Saber Tao's great Tao, he could do it even more easily. Speaking of which, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva was rather unlucky. 10,000 years ago, he ran into the Qing Emperor, who used the demonic Tao to enter the Tao. After 10,000 years, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva finally managed to turn things around. Then he ran into Shaochen, who was even more terrifying than the Qing Emperor. This was enough to prove that the will of the heavens existed in the unseen world, not allowing an evil Buddha like him to bring disaster to the world. While it looked like a coincidence, in reality, the cause and effect were already set. Fate was hard to defy. Damn it! Why have the major characters of the Buddhist sects outside not made a move yet? Could it be that I schemed and guarded hell for so many years, but I am destined to fail at the last moment? As the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva dodged the saber light, he no longer looked as imposing as he did earlier. Now, he only appeared flustered and miserable. Pusi-I. A strand of saber light struck the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva's lotus platform, and it immediately turned into nothing. Caught off guard, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva fell. The Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva landed on the sea of bitterness below, splashing water all over him. After he stood up, he continued running forward. The 6 paths of reincarnation lay in front. If he went any further, he would have nowhere to run. Buddha above, could it be that I, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva, am I really at my wit's end today? The Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva turned around in despair and looked at Shaochen. His eyes were filled with rage. Shaochen said lightly, "May I ask, Bodhisattva, do you still want to accept me as a disciple? Your dragon race is truly despicable. If not for the Taoist sects taking action back then, you would have long been converted by the Buddhist sects and become little dogs guarding the door. To think that I, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva, the illustrious name of a lifetime, was actually carried by a little dog like you." The Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva said indignantly. Shaochen had heard the old dragon horse mention this before. For a period of time, the Buddhist sects nearly wiped out the dragon race. Many dragons were purified and turned into Buddhist guardian divine beasts. Later, due to the conflict between Buddhism and Taoism, the dragon race found fortuitous encounters and barely managed to reproduce. Only after the blood-soaked dragon emperor did the dragon race rise again. Just at this moment, a ray of light suddenly descended and enveloped Ksitagarbha's body. The light illuminated the entire Yellow Springs. Shaochen felt a piercing pain in his eyes and took a few steps back. Light of guidance? Ha! Heaven never bars one's way. Shaochen, our matter will not end so simply. When I cultivate the golden body of the Buddhist sects, no matter where you hide, I will find you and end this karma. Escaping from death's door, the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva laughed maniacally. Shaochen was slightly stunned. Could it be that Lu Ryue was taken away like this as well? However, it was not that easy for the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva to leave. Dragon Blood's soul-breaking finger. Suddenly, a horrifying aura burst out of Shaochen's body. A will burst out of his body, merging with the entire world. The blazing might made the light of guidance dim somewhat. When the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva pointed, sin poured out continuously from his body, giving off a scarlet light. The sin rebounded, and the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva's face twisted in pain. He wanted to say something, but before he could finish, the light of guidance took him away. Shaochen stood upright with his hands behind his back, entering deep thought. He did not know if the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva was dead or not. However, even if the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva was not in a good state, even if the Ksitagarbha Bodhisattva left the abandoned land, he would most likely be a cripple. Shaochen collected his thoughts and looked at the 6 paths of reincarnation in front. Chapter 1549. The primes revealed shocked expressions, all of them in disbelief. However, when I think about it, his strength should not be too horrifying. Otherwise, he could have immediately attacked the Kunlun realm after the demonic calamity, the Fox King analyzed calmly. Although it only had a simple silhouette, it was filled with boundlessly tyrannical aura. On the 1-kilometer-tall blue dragon divine tree, Xiao Chen hovered in the air. As he held the carving knife, his movements were slow but steady and smooth. However, he still did not turn around. When he was about to walk out, the human path of reincarnation shattered again. 6 paths of reincarnation, Sky Dome Immortal Lord, what are you trying to do? Do you still remember the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva? Xiao Chen asked. Xiao Chen thought of a possibility. The Kittagarbha Bodhisattva was a person of the immortal epoch in the first place. Hence, the heavenly Tao of this abandoned land did not erase any memories of him. When Xiao Chen heard that, he showed a calm expression. What should come had finally come. He roughly guessed what was going on. In that case, the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva was the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's reincarnation, the last immortal. All the more, the heavenly Tao should not have erased any memories of him. This made Xiao Chen feel somewhat suspicious. Could it be that the Kittagarbha Bodhisattva was already completely broken? However, even after waiting for a long time, the broken human path of reincarnation showed no signs of mending. Indeed, it was as Xiao Chen expected. The residences from the immortal epoch were now in the hands of the major factions. The instant Xiao Chen turned around, the broken human path of reincarnation silently mended and formed a complete reincarnation path. The force of the brush was as heavy as a mountain. The place where the brush landed was extremely sharp. The words naturally exuded a vast and tyrannical aura. The same principle applied to carving. The carving knife was the brush in the hands of the carver. But we suspect that there are still powerful people in the demonic world who have not appeared yet. Now that the demonic god is dead, this person immediately took over the position of the demonic god and launched this attack, Emperor Forsaken said as he looked at Xiao Chen. Ying Zongtian added, furthermore, this person should be extremely shrewd and good at enduring. When we were fighting the demonic world, he hid his strength and did not make a move. Chen smiled. I guessed it. That's why I have been recording your name in a small notebook every day. Xiao Chen, you know him? Ying Zongtian asked. Master saw that you kept coming back and felt a little worried, so I came over. At Ghost Mother Sun Shi's level, she could feel the horror of Xiao Chen's strength. There was no one in the Kunlun realm who could threaten him. Xiao Chen shook his head and said, there is no need. I know who he is. The situation is worse than you think. Naturally, Xiao Chen could not tell Chen the reason. He smiled and said, I will tell you in the future. I will definitely return to this Kunlun realm. I will go to Kunlun Mountain first. The Chen, the Yun Dao, the most about it, just he, spirit, he, Chen, he, Chen, and all, and. The few of them explained with frowns on their faces. Their brows were filled with worry. At first, Xiao Chen felt stunned. Then he understood. The heavenly Tao would erase all traces of anyone who left the Kunlun realm. However, Ghost Mother Xuanxi smiled and did not refute. In reality, Qing Cheng had begged her several times before she reluctantly agreed. Right now, Xiao Chen was not strong enough. It was not yet time to unravel the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's secret. There were too many unpredictable dangers. Naturally, Xiao Chen saw it. His spiritual sense spread out for 5,000 kilometers around. He could even see the wind blowing and the grass moving. At the very least, the fight with Chu Chaoyun had not started yet. If he left, what would happen to the Kunlun realm? The remaining cycle of reincarnation was also shattered. However, Xiao Chen remembered that it did not seem to be completely shattered. Xiao Chen, something happened. The lower realms that our factions controlled were all uprooted. The experts we sent out never returned. Even the sovereign martial emperors did not return alive. After that, the Sky Dome Immortal Lord erased the scene, preventing Xiao Chen from seeing it. Xiao Chen waited here, staring at the cycle of reincarnation without moving. He wanted to see if it could mend. I do. He came from the Sky Dome with me. However, back then I went to the Kunlun realm and he went to the demonic world, Xiao Chen answered calmly. However, it was hard to avoid some ripples in his heart. What? It's good that it's dealt with. In that case, why are you staring at the 6 paths of reincarnation? Qing Cheng asked, feeling confused as she blinked. Chen looked at Xiao Chen, who was focused on carving the blue dragon divine wood. In it, when the Qing Emperor appeared, he walked the cycle of reincarnation and entered Earth. When Imochen heard that, her heart felt empty. However, when she thought about it, Xiaochen would have to leave sooner or later. Under the seemingly calm surface, a surging energy flowed in the dark. Nothing much. I was just curious. Let's go. Imochen quickly said, "Of course, I remember. You told me before." However, she could not dissuade Qing Cheng. So what if she came? Xiaochen smiled and said, "If she remembers the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva, then she should not forget me." Very wonderful. Unexpectedly, Big Brother Zhao's knife skills have such charm. Although I only dabbled in the art of carving, I can tell that Big Brother Zhao's carving skills are extraordinary. Just at this moment, Ghost Mother Xuanqian and Qing Cheng appeared behind Xiaochen. Did Xiaochen see them? Emperor Forsaken, Ying Zongtian, Ghost Mother Xuanqian, the heaven-punishing corpse god, and the Fox King were all there. Now, they were all snatched away by a mysterious faction. Furthermore, Xiaochen did not know the other party's origins. Naturally, it was hard to avoid worrying. At that time, the entire Kunlun realm would crumble. All life would find it hard to escape destruction. Big Brother Xiao, Emperor Forsaken, and the other primes sent a message, saying that they have urgent matters to discuss with you at Kunlun Mountain. After putting down the carving knife, Xiaochen landed firmly on the ground. Then, he looked at Imochen and said, "Imochen, what do you think of my carving?" Earth was the final refuge of the immortals. There, the Sky Dome Immortal Lord lived alone until the end. He personally buried the many immortals. Then the Qing Emperor Xiaoteng arrived. Xiaochen returned to this place again. Back then in the three-life mirror, Xiaochen saw his past. The major factions had just experienced a demonic calamity, and they all suffered heavy losses. No one would be able to endure another great battle. Imochen looked at the blue dragon divine wood and saw that the skeleton of a blue dragon had already been carved on the divine wood. It was not time yet. The Qing Emperor only dared to go all out at the moment of his death. The heaven-punishing corpse god was an impatient person. Without waiting for Xiaochen to stand firmly, he spoke quickly. Since ancient times, the powerful outstanding talents would leave the Kunlun realm and pursue the martial Dao, reaching an even higher peak. All along, the Kunlun realm had been treated as their exclusive property, not allowing others to make a move on them. Xiaochen, Qing Cheng, and Ghost Mother Sun Shi left this Yellow Springs hell with some doubts. Knife skills were like calligraphy. They required the strength of the brush, the tip of the brush, and the spirit. At this point, Xiaochen suddenly recalled that when the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva was taken away, Qing Cheng and Ghost Mother Sun Shi had not forgotten about it. Xiaochen said, "This is the blue dragon totem. When the totem is completed, I will probably have to leave." In the end, the battle that was fated and could not be avoided had finally arrived. Xiaochen stepped forward and arrived at the 6 paths of reincarnation. The heavenly Dao, Azura Dao, animal Dao, hungry ghost Dao, and hell Dao were all shattered beyond recognition. Emperor Forsaken said, "It is not that we fear him. The main thing is that we cannot figure out his strength, so we would like to ask for your help." As for the spirit contained within, that was a rather high level of understanding. Imochen did not really understand it. Xiaochen directly turned this abandoned land into a wasteland, all for the sake of his future. It was like the calm water of a river pushing the quicksand at the riverbed, moving slowly. In reality, Xiaochen's words were not false at all. Chu Chaoyan's goal was to unify the 3,000 lower realms and then swallow up the Kunlun realm, absorbing the luck of the entire Kunlun realm. When the two met, Xiaochen did not know what they said or what happened. Before the sky turned dark, Xiaochen arrived at Kunlun Mountain. Xiaochen turned his head and smiled. "It's fine. I already dealt with the Kitagarbha Bodhisattva's matter." 7 days later, Xiaochen, who was quietly carving the blue dragon divine wood in the back mountain of the Dragon's Gate on Heavenly Star Island, was interrupted by a piece of news that Imochen brought. Chapter 1550. Who? There is more to it than meets the eye? Ying Zongtian asked. Xiaochen looked at Chu Chaoyun. With his current cultivation, he could vaguely make out some of Chu Chaoyun's secrets. When we fought the demonic gods, he did not make a move to cause trouble. He was being reasonable. There is no need to doubt him. He is someone with the strength to turn the situation around. Xiaochen stood up and looked up at the starry heavens. Even though they were separated by millions of kilometers, it seemed like his vision clashed with that person's. The few primes exchanged glances with each other, their expressions somewhat grave. Blue Dragon King, we'll send you off. It seemed like Xiaochen was always like this. Even though he caused a huge commotion, he remained hidden behind the scenes, preventing others from seeing through him or figuring him out. Xiaochen held the lunar shadow saber and looked at it. Then, he said indifferently, "Little Ao Jiao, this might really be your last battle with me. Are you afraid?" It was like the lunar shadow saber could pierce through the entire world with just a slight movement. A golden light burst out and appeared in front of Chu Chaoyun. The peak characters of the Kunlun Mountain and the Kunlun Realm had noticed this long ago. The intense light illuminated the entire Kunlun continent as bright as day. This was the reason for the mysterious phenomenon of night and day and the twinkling stars. Chu Chaoyun. The two did not say anything. They just quietly looked at each other in the depths of the starry heavens. Xiaochen nodded and said, "My family is in his hands." "Brother Xiaochen, what do you think we should do?" The heaven-punishing corpse god asked as he looked at Xiaochen. There were two extremely berserk energies in Chu Chaoyun's body. They repelled each other but were tightly bound together by a strong will. "Very good. I already helped her kill all the demon monarchs. The entire demonic world now respects her. Many demons are not innately inhumane. It is just that they were forced to do so by the existence of the demonic gods. In the future, there should be a brand new demon world. This is the condition I promised her back then. You don't have to thank me." Emperor Forsaken and the others abruptly stood up and looked at Xiaochen, making a request. Those who were originally full of confidence in Xiaochen started to waver. "What's there to be afraid of? I'm an artifact spirit. To put it nicely, I'm a spirit. To put it bluntly, I'm a slave. In my previous life, I met a good person like Sang Mu, and in this life, I met a fool like you. For an artifact spirit, what else is there to pursue?" His face, which always carried a hint of a smile, had a heart that was colder and more ruthless than anyone else. If we besiege him without reason, then he won't be reasonable anymore. Against such an enemy, if he gives up even the slightest bit of his bottom line, then he won't be able to do anything. The price we have to pay is much heavier than we imagined. Xiaochen hit the nail on the head and pointed out Chu Chaoyun's current situation. 3 days later, the entire Kunlun continent suddenly started shaking for no reason. A figure flew through the air in the boundless starry heavens, standing in the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's residence. Around him were the remaining 2,999 Immortal Lord residences. Xiaochen did not understand how Xiaochen's strength improved so quickly. Only after he figured it out would he understand the price he paid. The clash of light and darkness was not something Emperor Wu's body could endure. Not only would it be painful, but it would also leave behind hidden injuries. Such a mysterious phenomenon naturally startled everyone in the Sky Dome Immortal Lord's residence. Chu Chaoyun's expression remained calm. His tone did not contain any emotion. Everyone needs time. The mountains shattered, the seas surged, and the rivers flowed in reverse. The mountains shattered, the seas surged, and the rivers flowed in reverse. All sorts of strange things happened because of Xiaochen. That was the power of light and darkness. Many years ago, Xiaochen already felt that he would have to fight this person again after the youth competition. Chu Chaoyun smiled faintly and said, "You don't understand the hatred in my heart. I never thought of killing that person. I only wanted to ask him one question. However, if I cannot absorb the luck of the entire Kunlun realm, I will not even be qualified to stand before him." The sky did not differentiate between night and day. Stars twinkled everywhere. Motes of starlight could be seen densely packed in the sky at every moment. Xiaochen continued, "That is not the main point. Even if I lose, he will not do anything to my family. He was a person who had never been able to accomplish what he had set his mind to. There is a tacit understanding between me and him. There are some things that need not be said. Sometimes, Xiaochen did not understand. However, after thinking about it, he realized that this might be the only way. Xiao. In the demonic world, Xiaochen hid behind the demonic god. The cultivators of the Kunlun realm only knew the demonic god and did not know who Chu Chaoyun was. In the Sky Dome realm, given Xiaochen's fame, no one cared who the person who lost to Xiaochen was. However, Xiaochen would not lie. This was especially so for such a matter. Xiaochen said calmly, 10,000 years ago, the Qing Emperor killed the last Tianwu Emperor. As a descendant of the Tianwu Emperor, he has a duel with me. At that time, I will engage in a battle to the death with him. If I lose, everyone can think of a solution. The sharpness of this small sword pierced their eyes. However, their expressions were filled with excitement and shock. After a while, the white-clad Xiaochen stood on the cycle throne. He finally saw Chu Chaoyun's face clearly. Xiaochen said that person's name indifferently. However, the few primes showed confused expressions. They did not have any impression of him. That's not good. Since this person is so strong, let's attack together. The few primes were greatly startled. To think that Xiaochen had such a handle on them. Xiaochen revealed a bitter smile. If Chu Chaoyun were that simple, how could he have reached his current position? Suddenly, a golden light burst forth from the center of the fluorescent sea under Chu Chaoyun's feet. Something seemed like it was about to burst out. Chu Chaoyun was like a clump of divine fire, lighting up the entire starry heavens. Every star gave off light because of him. It was a palm-sized sword with an exquisite design. It gave off a resplendent golden light, giving off a sharpness that made one's skin prickle. Kinchang. Chu Chaoyun drew the sword and pointed it at Xiaochen. The legend is actually true. Emperor Forsaken muttered to himself. Clearly, he knew some of the legends about the Tianwu Emperor as well. A group of people flew quickly in the starry heavens. Soon, they finally saw Chu Chaoyun in the depths of the starry heavens. There seemed to be a fluorescent sea under his feet. Kinchang. Xiaochen drew his saber and clashed with the incoming sword intent. This was a divine item that the Tianwu Emperor left behind. As long as Xiaochen had it, he would not need to take the Kunlun road and could leave this abandoned land. 10,000 years is a cycle. There is only one chance every 10,000 years. Blue Dragon King Xiaochen, if you do not draw your saber now, when are you going to do so? Only then could Xiaochen not care about this world at all. Only then could he harden his heart and destroy the entire world just to fulfill his wish. The wager was the entire Kunlun realm. Today, the 3,000 immortal lord residences finally merged into one. This affected the entire Kunlun realm. The powerful divine item floated quietly between the two. Its golden light was very tempting. Xiaochen entered deep thought. It looks like everyone in this world has it hard. In the past, I could not see through Chu Chaoyun. This scene was exactly the same as what Xiaochen saw in the past. The appearance of the divine item that the Tianwu Emperor left behind made this group of primes feel that this matter was very thorny and unusual. The few of them all felt extremely surprised. Worry flashed in Ing Zongqian's eyes. Xiaochen has really met with an opponent. This person has an aura of primal chaos, one that leads to the peak of the great Tao. The 3,000 lower realms merged under Xiaochen's feet as he slowly approached the Kunlun realm. In the end, he still could not avoid his fate. In the lunar shadow saber, little Ao Jiao showed a calm expression as she turned into a beam of light and merged with the lunar shadow saber. The people of the Kunlun realm did not recognize the name Chu Chaoyun at all. Let's stop here. After saying that, Xiaochen's figure flickered. Occasionally, fragments of the stars flew at him, but he easily dodged them. There is no need to talk about morality with such a person. To think that he wants to use the entire Kunlun realm to help him. There is no need to reason with him. Emperor Forsaken and the heaven-punishing corpse god both chose the most direct and effective method. They simply could not believe that such an expert still existed in the world without them knowing about him. However, they had not expected that this day would come in such a manner, using the entire starry heavens as a battlefield. That was the Sky Dome realm of the 3,000 lower realms. Xiao Chen felt excited. He vaguely guessed that something was about to come out. In that case, we'll listen to you, everyone said helplessly in the end. Why the need to fight so bitterly? You are not in a good state right now. The best solution is to leave the Kunlun realm quickly and break through to the veritable essence stage. Otherwise, if you delay your physical body like this, it will become a hidden injury that will plague you for life. Xiao Chen was the first to speak. How is Leng Yu? Like before, Leng Yu carried a sword on his back. His eyes flickered with a bright light as though he had been waiting for Xiao Chen for a long time. Emperor Forsaken and the other primes watched from afar. Suddenly, they felt a piercing pain in their eyes. Chapter 1551. The saber was the tyrant of weapons, boundlessly tyrannical. The sword was the ancestor of all weapons, the sharpest. One could not use the edge of the saber to block the other party's sword. Xiao Chen attacked from below. He gently raised his saber and chopped the incoming sword in half. This was the boundless starry heavens, dotted with stars and a picturesque heavenly river. This was also the final battlefield of two outstanding talents. Many people did not know what the outcome of this battle would be. Compared to the demonic god's vast invasion, Chu Chaoyun chose to be more hidden. Although the mysterious phenomenon in the Kunlun continent was strange, most cultivators did not know what was going on. Furthermore, they did not know that a battle that would decide their fate was taking place in the depths of the starry heavens. In fact, not many people knew about the name Chu Chaoyun. However, more and more peak cultivators of the Kunlun realm came to know about this battle. The many sovereign martial emperors and primes of the heavenly starry ocean landed beside Ying Zongtian and the others. They looked at the depths of the starry heavens from a great distance and saw two upright figures. They were like two resplendent stars, making the surrounding starlight appear much dimmer, unable to cover up the sharpness of these two. Xiao Chen and Chu Chaoyun both stored up their auras, locking their gazes on each other, not wanting to miss out on any detail. Vaguely, there was an invisible clash between the two of them. This resulted in the divine item that the Tianwu Emperor left buzzing and trembling continuously. Xiao Chen did not dare to attack rashly because he did not have a deep understanding of Chu Chaoyun. He had not fought with Chu Chaoyun for so many years. Xiao Chen did not know Chu Chaoyun's strength or combat style, so he could only wait and see. As the two faced off, their auras soared. Whoosh! The moment their auras reached their peak, Chu Chaoyun made the first move. He thrust his sword forward, gathering all his aura at the tip of his sword. His movements were like flowing water, incredibly smooth. His grasp of timing was very precise. However, the most brilliant thing was his understanding of the sword. The strength of the sword lay in its sharpness. It was indestructible and could break through anything. Chu Chaoyun was able to instantly gather all his aura at the tip of his sword without any gaps. It was sufficient to show that his attainments in the sword Dao had already attained perfection. The strength of the saber lay in its tyranny and violence. However, a tyrannical aura was not something that could be achieved in one go. He needed to keep accumulating, and the more he fought, the stronger he would become. Of course, if the opponent was weaker, he would have the advantage right from the start. There was no need for him to accumulate his strength, so it didn't count. Xiao Chen was the #1 saber cultivator of the current Kunlun sect. He understood this principle better than anyone else. The best choice was to retreat, temporarily avoid the sharp edge, and wait for an opportunity to strike. However, when faced with Chu Chaoyun's most advantageous attack, he absolutely could not retreat. Once he retreated, there would be no chance for him to make a comeback. Even if they were at a disadvantage, they absolutely could not retreat. There was only one word: fight. Before the sword arrived, the sword aura had already arrived. This sharp sword aura blew Xiao Chen's long hair backward. The cold light at the tip of the sword grew closer and closer to Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen shouted ferociously and chopped down with his saber. At the crucial moment, his saber coincidentally met the tip of the sword. Chi! The saber and sword clashed and sparks flew. The two exchanged glances, both seeing the sharp light in each other's eyes. Xiao Chen forcefully blocked this thrust. He felt his hand, which held his saber, go slightly numb. Blood seeped out of his palm. Needless to say, he was clearly at a disadvantage in this exchange. In such a situation, Chu Chaoyun clearly held the upper hand. He should not have clashed head-on. I thought that I had already improved very quickly. Unexpectedly, you were still able to keep up with me. Chu Chaoyun, it looks like you have suffered a lot in the past few years, Xiao Chen said indifferently. Although he was at a disadvantage, he could not lose his momentum. Chu Chaoyun's lips curled up slightly. He smiled and said, "This is talent. It is not something that can be achieved just by suffering. Take another sword strike from me." Right after Chu Chaoyun spoke, he twisted his wrist slightly. His sword aura did not decrease, continuing to stab at Xiao Chen's forehead. At such a close distance, Chu Chaoyun could easily send out a second sword strike. However, Xiao Chen would find it difficult to send out another saber strike to block the cold light at the tip of the sword that had yet to fade. Because there was nowhere to store energy, Xiao Chen could not execute his saber aura smoothly. It was like an assassin using a dagger to get close to him, preventing him from using a long weapon. Oh no, he cannot dodge this sword strike. Emperor Forsaken, who was watching from a distance, exclaimed. He started to worry for Xiao Chen. What an incredible swordsman. It is hard to imagine that the Kunlun realm has such a strong sword Dao expert. Even though Ying Zongtian did not like Chu Chaoyun, he had to acknowledge Chu Chaoyun's attainments in the sword Dao. Xiao Chen can only retreat. The heaven-punishing corpse god shook his head slightly. Being at a disadvantage right from the start was not a good sign. Dang! However, to everyone's surprise, Xiao Chen blocked this sword strike and still sent out another saber strike. Xiao Chen spun around at an unimaginable speed. Then, when he turned around, he sent out a dangerous saber strike. To most people, Xiao Chen did not move at all. They only saw a saber light blocking that sword strike in an incredible fashion. After the second sword strike was blocked, the aura gathered at the tip of Chu Chaoyun's sword slowly dispersed. The sharpness of the sword strike was significantly weaker than it was at the start. At this moment, Xiao Chen finally turned the disadvantageous situation into a draw. Metallic clangs rang out continuously. Before the sword strike faded completely, Chu Chaoyun chose to attack quickly. Sword images filled the sky like a storm, charging at Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen fought steadily, countering the moves as they came. In just a few breaths, the two exchanged 100 moves. A strong saber intent and sword intent spread out continuously as the saber and sword clashed. The saber intent turned into resplendent light that could be seen clearly from far away. The metallic clangs of the saber and sword clashing formed a storm-like melody. It stirred the heart and made one's blood surge. This was the most exciting melody in the world. As the saber and sword clashed, the instant the two brushed past each other, a mysterious phenomenon appeared behind them. A flawless moon appeared behind Xiao Chen. Under the moon was a vast sea with dragons hidden in the water. A powerful imperial city stood behind Chu Chaoyun. The imperial banners fluttered on the city walls, commanding the world. The two were still evenly matched. Neither side showed any signs of being at a disadvantage. The two brushed past each other. The probing had already ended. Next, it was time to fight to the death with full power. Dao! Xiao Chen shouted, and Dao Might appeared. A Dao disc appeared behind him, giving off a faint light. Carrying a boundless Dao Might, Xiao Chen soared into the air and took the initiative to hack down with his saber. Dao! Who knew? Chu Chaoyun shouted, and a Dao disc appeared behind him as well. He had also comprehended the great Dao energy of the sword Dao and was not much weaker than Xiao Chen. The saber and sword clashed in the air again. Blood leaked out of the two's mouths as they looked at each other in surprise. Xiao Chen spun around, and the Taiji saber domain appeared. His body hid in the Taiji saber domain. Holding his saber, he charged over once more. The yin and yang energies in the Taiji diagram under Xiao Chen's feet each turned into a saber dragon. One was bright and one was dark, appearing and disappearing. Chu Chaoyun pushed off with his feet, and light and darkness flickered around his body, forming a black and white sword domain. The two started fighting again. The Taiji saber domain and the black and white sword domain merged, clashing endlessly, clashing intensely. They were like two huge, invisible gears that merged together but spun in different directions. Cut, cut, cut. The sounds of the clash shook the air. Everyone who heard it felt their hearts tremble, reaching deep into their souls. These two are truly evenly matched. With their cultivation of the saber and the sword, it is hard to tell who is stronger. Indeed, it is hard to say who will win and who will lose in this battle. I really wonder, where did this Chu Chaoyun suddenly come from? He is so inconceivably strong. He is the Tianwu Emperor's descendant. Everything is easy to explain. Don't forget, 10,000 years ago, it was the last Tianwu Emperor who severely injured the Qing Emperor, giving the Thunder King the opportunity to sneak attack. The breathtaking battle in the distance deeply shocked all the spectating primes and sovereign martial emperors. Be it Xiao Chen or Chu Chaoyun, their attainments in the way of the saber and the sword far surpassed that of their peers in the Kunlun realm. The exquisite martial techniques they displayed already baffled some of the primes, who could not understand their true profoundness. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.